put the children to bed, it's time for Dan and Aldo to bare their souls.
I love the Chicago Bears more than I do masturbating, and that is a lot.
Then, with 3 seconds left, Bob Avellini throws a 30-something yard touchdown pass to Greg Latta, and the Bears win, and I literally shit my pants. I swear to God, I literally did.
Eric Kramer, for me, I love the guy. He's a tragic figure. I mean, he embodies all that is.
If they don't run the ball here, I'm going to vomit. I swear to God.
Look, I don't mean any disrespect. He just didn't play that well. Not for a guy of his caliber.
You know, they won, but I'm going to be miserable all week because they stunk.
I don't really have any recollection of that at all, but I guess perhaps I blacked it all out.
So, Dan, tape is the ultimate tool for scouts and for coaches to evaluate players, to detect plays and so forth. And they spend hours looking at tape, right? Why do they so often get shit wrong?
I love the efficiency of bourbon.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dan and Aldo.
Dan Aguirre! I love you. And I love this hat. Yeah. Man, this is awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. I like that hat when I got it. And like we said off air, you had bought me a movie. I can't even remember the name of it now, that featured an extremely graphic rape scene. And,
Irreversible, I think.
Yeah, and it's like one of those that's hard to find now. And you bought a Blu-ray and it was like Region 2 and you can't play it here. So you bought it again. And I was like, well, how do I repay him? So I bought that hat for myself and it came in and he was like, well, shit. Let me see if Aldo likes this as much as I do. And you said, oh, that's a nice hat. So then I knew that's what I was going to get you to repay you for the movie.
Oh, that's really nice. And you know what? I am in great spirits. We'll talk about the Bears in a moment. There's reasons to be very happy about the Bears, but I'm happy that we're back. We are actually back. Thank you, Mr. Mayhem. He actually said that he missed the show. I missed the show. I missed the production aspects of it. I missed a lot of aspects of it, but most of all, I missed the 2.5 hours I got to talk to one of my best friends ever in my life, Dan Aguirre. It is so good to be back with you, brother.
Yep, and we got good news today. We got Caleb Williams signed 4 years, $39 million. Reportedly, I guess it's all guaranteed, if I read correctly.
It is all guaranteed, and fully guaranteed $39 million contract, 30 and some change. He's got a signing bonus of $6.5 million for this year. An average annual salary of just under $10 million. So it's good to get that done. You know, there was all this talk that it could be delayed because the father was going to be involved and stuff. And I've got some information on that we'll talk about a little later, but I'm glad that's done. He's going to be in camp. He's been such a fucking tremendous figure. Did you see that video of him with kids at a fundraising event? I mean, I'm falling in love with kids. I might have to get me 4 Caleb Williams jerseys like I know somebody else has.
Yeah. I only had to get a second mortgage to pay for them, but yeah.
I bet that's got to be over $600 worth of jerseys there.
It was something like that. It's 500, I think, something to that effect. Yeah, but his charity is Caleb Cares. And Dan cares, too, about Caleb and his well-being in the Chicago Bears. So let's go. Let's win this year.
Love it. And Scottish Bear, I do remember you saying that they would be signing on this day when rookies report. So that is great. There was nothing to be worried about. But, you know, in the back of your head, like yesterday I was listening to WSCR and Danny Parkins and I forget the other Matt Spiegel. Spiegel was saying, yeah, we shouldn't be worried, but it's the Bears. They always come up with some ridiculous thing when it comes down to contracts, like the Roquan Smith thing. I talked about this with Greg Gabriel. It was delayed because apparently the issue was, this is according to Matt Nagy, is that they were concerned that because he tackles helmet first a lot, that he might get suspended for some games, and they wanted that to impact the guaranteed bonus money. So why are you going to call it guaranteed if you're going to take it away because he gets penalized? So just stupid shit. Now that was 2018. So that was Pace and Joey Lane, who Pace brought over with him from the Saints, I believe. But so hopefully the new regime isn't doing that kind of thing. Was that Ryan Pace? Yeah, it was Ryan Pace that signed the rookie contract. Yeah.
At this point, Roquan feels like that hot girl that you thought, oh man, she's letting me hit this shit and we're happy. And then now you look back, you're like, oh God, I'm so glad she's gone. I don't care if I ever hit it again. She's just trouble. She just creates anxiety for me. And I just want her the fuck gone. I don't even want to think about her. That's Roquan. I don't want to call him a bust because
that is a perfect analogy.
Well, he's talented. He's super talented. So I can't call him a bust in any way, but I'm just glad he's gone.
Yes, I agree. And I want Justin to do well with the Pittsburgh Steelers, but I'm starting to have doubts based on some of the things I'm hearing out of Pittsburgh is that he's still having trouble seeing the field. He's going to need a lot of work. I think Russell Wilson is going to play well into close to, if they're in playoff contention, I don't see Russell Wilson going to the bench unless he gets hurt. And so, Justin Fields could be following in Mitchell Trubisky's footsteps in terms
literally to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, really. About that.
If for some reason he did play and was unsuccessful, which I do not want, I truly don't. I want to root for Justin to do really well and ball out, man. I would love to see him, except when he plays the Bears, win games.
Yeah.
But if he doesn't, I feel like he's, he could be out of the league soon.
Yeah. But Caleb is here. Caleb is our guy. I sent you and Tooch a note, and the Tooch is scheduled to be with us at the regular time, 9 p.m. So a little less than an hour. But I haven't heard from him today, so I hope he's fine.
No, I saw a message he sent to both of us in one of the Twitter groups.
Okay.
On the private messaging that he would be here after 9, which of course he meant Central. Because it's already 9 for me, but he meant 10 o'clock East, 9 Central. So he's coming.
Yeah, we had some, weather events here. I texted you yesterday. I was a little bit nervous, because we're getting the sirens and we're getting wall-to-wall reporting by the local TV stations. And I thought that local TV stations weren't trying to alarm anyone. They were just really seriously trying to warn people because there were multiple tornadoes, including some were spotted at O'Hare Airport, which is a rarity, Midway Airport, in Chicago's Loop, and so when it starts hitting the actual city as opposed to these wide open spaces in Illinois, that you get a little worried. There's my guy calling me Aldo again. This guy works with Mr. Shorty. I don't know if you've met him, Thigh and Smill podcast. And so I started making fun of him, claiming that he was a liberal, but he's really a conservative. So he's really a conservative, and so he's been calling me Aldi ever since. I love it.
I had such a bad experience that last time we did a show that you came on, the guy's name was Carl, and it was with a K. And the only Carl I've ever met with a K, even though I didn't meet him, was Karl Marx. So I made a joke. and the guy got really, really sore about it.
I think that's the same guy.
It was so uncomfortable the rest of the show. I was like, oh my God, I was trying to fake it. I just wanted to get the fuck out of there. It was terrible.
You are a sensitive guy, Dan. And let me ask you a question. You ever cry after sex or even during sex?
No, that's usually when I'm choking bitches. No, I'm just kidding. No, man, the only thing that usually makes me cry is like, I can't say I haven't cried on movies, but definitely live music, man, can bring me. That's like for lack of a better term, it's just such a cliche. It's like a religious experience to me in some regards for someone that's not religious.
Yeah.
Per se, not an anti-God by any stretch.
Right. it seems to me like you're more agnostic. You'd believe in God if he was standing in front of you saying, just kiss my feet.
Well, I don't feel I can't tell someone there isn't a God. I'm not I'm not smart enough to tell you what the alternative is. So how can I disprove what you believe? I mean, that's the way I look at it. I don't know what the fuck I believe. But
Well, I'll tell
I
you
don't want
this.
to argue, though. I know I hate confrontation, man. I just
Yes,
hate
that is so true about you. You really do. And I can see that, based on stuff that's happened in your life and so forth. I think that's, if I was a psychiatrist, I would say, totally understand, man. And it's okay to be sensitive and avoid confrontation and stuff like that. By the way, Karl Marx says that if you need a naked cuddle, hit his DMs. They're open. Thank you,
No
Karl
comment.
Marx. Dan, I asked you to come on here because nobody knows Bears history as well as you do here, at least here at the bar room. That's for sure. I mean, Mike North might give you a run for the money.
I love mine.
I'd love to have the two of you guys on and we do a trivia test. What do you think about that?
Oh man, Mike is just a tinge bit older than me.
Yes.
So I think Mike would go back to like the way I do. He goes back to his youth, and then like his youth I didn't experience, the early 60s and stuff. So maybe it wouldn't line up so much.
Well, but I could pick categories that both of you would have, at least on the surface,
But if you
good
notice,
knowledge.
Mike is more passionate about the stuff before he was in media, or at least so it seems to me. Maybe.
Oh yeah, yes.
Like
yes.
if he talks about Sayers and stuff, I mean, he lights up. I mean, I'm sure he does a little bit about Jim McMahon and things like that. But once
absolutely
he was working, though, I feel like it was like a job and not so much his passion anymore.
Well, I'm going to invite him on because I know he wants to promote Raging Mouth, the documentary that we just finished up on his life. So we could talk a little bit about that with him. You can quiz him on some questions about his past, and then we'll have some fun. Do like a 5-question trivia. I'm sorry, say how does he feel about Caleb?
Yeah.
He's skeptical. He's skeptical of anything Chicago Bears. He's like I would just say he's like most 70+ Euro fans. He's seen enough, and he wants, he's agnostic about everything. Prove it to me. I want to see it first, and then I'll start believing. And he's gone off the Mitch Trubisky bandwagon a little bit. He really got on Mitch Trubisky late last season. He thought Trubisky was quitting, accepting the fact that he's a role player and that he didn't sound confident in his press conferences. Yeah, and I think if anybody needs a big hug, it's Mitchell Trubisky right now at this point of his career, man. It's really looking bad for him.
He's back in Buffalo, right?
He is back in Buffalo. Yeah, well, I'll work on getting Mike here, but I wanted you to talk about some of the quarterbacks in this Super Bowl era, and get your, let's start at a macro level. You as a very, very passionate Bears fan, and you've read about history, especially recent history. I mean, stuff from the 70s, which you weren't, when were you born?
1980.
1980, so 5 years before the great Super Bowl team. But so stuff from the Bears quarterbacking situation in the 70s. A bit about the Bob Avellini. So I want the macro question is, how would you characterize Chicago Bears quarterbacking in this era, the Super Bowl era?
Well, just like everybody else, you would say that it's been a huge disappointment. And what makes it even worse is when you juxtapose it with the enemy up north, when they've had such stability. You can't say they've had overwhelming success. They have won 2 Super Bowls, but if you have 2 back-to-back generational talents that lock it down for like 30 years, and you only get 2 Super Bowl wins out of it, I say you're kind of a disappointment. If Mike Ditka can be criticized for only winning 1 with the Bears, in spite of the fact that people say it was the best team of all time, but they didn't do enough, then what the fuck are the Packers doing with Rodgers and Favre for 30 years and only winning 2 Super Bowls? But be that as it may, to answer your question with the Bears, again, when you've got your enemy so successful, at least year after year, and kicking your ass, and then you just have this turnover. And even when things, you're like, all right, we got our guy. We got Justin Fields. He's doing dynamic things. And then in 3 seasons, he's gone. Jay Cutler, we got our guy. He's got the big arm. He's got the big arm, the big trade. And then he finishes 500. Rex Grossman, we're going to the Super Bowl. We're not going to win the Super Bowl, and he's going to be gone right after the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
After,
and you've made the case that they lost primarily because of Rex.
I love Rex, but in the Super Bowl, I think because of the rain and the fact that he wasn't throwing well, I think I would have gone to Greasy. And everyone says KO, but he was. I don't even know if he's active that day. Greasy was the backup.
Yeah, I think it was Greasy. I don't think KO.
It was Greasy. I don't know if Kyle was in uniform. Maybe they had 3 active, but I don't think so. But people lose sight of that and think that we should have gone to Orton. Orton, to me, was, again, he threw the rock a little bit in Denver. I'll give him that. But with the Bears, he was the screen pass guy. Check down Charlie, to use the cliche. He was, all right, it's 2nd and 12, and here's a 2-yard screen. He's not throwing the ball down the field. He's not taking any chances. And a lot of people like that guy, but for some reason, I was glad when he was traded in the Cutler thing. I was like, get out of here.
I was a guy that liked Kyle's development. And I thought that the year we traded him, which was his 3rd year in the league, or was it 4th? You remember?
He was with the Bears 5, 6, 7, and 8. He was going into his 5th year when he got traded.
Okay. So I thought, at this point, why not try to keep him and develop? Now, I was not a big fan of Jay Cutler because I saw a handful of Denver games, and this guy struck me as a pouty little bitch, pouty. And, I wasn't thrilled, but I was thrilled at his athleticism, the power of his arm. I had gone to Chicago Bears games and always get there early to see the guys warm up and so forth. And even when I was there for a Jim McMahon game, he didn't have that arm. He didn't have that arm that I grew up watching. Bobby Douglas, Vince Evans, those guys had rocket arms. But nobody since then that I can recall had an arm like that until Jay Cutler. Man, he was just flipping the ball 60 yards downfield. It was gorgeous. And so I started to get excited. Right. But why do you think what was the biggest reason behind Cutler's demise?
Well, it's kind of like, it's hard to give you a concise answer on that. I have to give you just a 30-second.
Sure, go for it.
Paragraph. Early on, as we all recall, and we're not going to denigrate Lovey here, but he made some bad moves, and one of them was trying to make Devin Hester the primary receiver. They let Bernard Berrien go to Minnesota. They made Devin the number 1 receiver. They're like, hey, we know Earl Bennett he wasn't even active in 08, but you went to college with him, so we'll make him the number 2. So Jay didn't really have any wide receivers early on at all, and he didn't have an offensive line. So by the time they get him Alshon Jeffrey and Brandon Marshall, the defense had flipped. Then Lance got a little pudgy and was hurt. Urlacher was gone. Charles Tillman, unfortunately, couldn't stay healthy. And they were giving up 35, 40 points a game. Remember the Green Bay game, we're down like 42-0 in the second quarter, for God's sake. So by the time Jay got weapons around him, then the defense was terrible. Remember that Sunday night game against the Eagles when we lost like 51-7?
Oh, yeah.
Or when they could have clinched the playoff spot with the win, and Big Dick Nick Foles rolled us on a Sunday night game. So again, Jay didn't have enough around him and his offensive line. Remember the game against the Giants? He sacked like 9-10 times in the first half. And by the time he got weapons, then the defense was terrible. So Jay was just a victim of circumstance and roster, and the Bears still being in that mode of a little bit cheap, and I don't know, man. But some of it's on his own. I mean, he's the one that threw all those picks in San Francisco 5, and then against Washington when he just kept going after the one corner. Yeah. What was his name again? I always fucking forget that dude's name.
I was going to say Darryl Green, but it's clearly not Darryl Green.
The guy played like Darryl Green, at least against Cutler.
Exactly.
Yeah, it just felt like Jay would have those games or it'd be maddening. Like, what are you doing? But also, I like that about Cutler in the sense that if he threw a pick, he was not going to focus on it, and he was going to come back and throw. Not Deontay Hall. That was the Chiefs returner, but Hall. Anyway, but Jay would come back without any conscience and be ready to sling the ball again. I think you need that to be D'Angelo Hall. Yeah. You have to be able to do that as a great quarterback. He had the skill, man. He had the skill and the wherewithal. It just didn't work out, and it's so unfortunate.
And this is something that you've talked about. Mayhem says the Bears would have won the Super Bowl if Jay Cutler didn't get injured in that NFC Championship game. Are you as convinced as he is?
Yeah, man. But after he got hurt, again, I've heard Olin Kreutz say on the radio that even if they'd come back to win, he probably wouldn't have been able to play in the Super Bowl. Like, he was really hurt.
Yeah,
he had a grade 2 tear of a ligament in his knee. So I don't think Haney's going to win the Super Bowl for us. And Todd Collins looked miserable against Green Bay. So I don't know what the hell was going on with him. But if Jay stays healthy, like, yeah, I think they could have won the Super Bowl. And in 13, his whole legacy could have been rewritten. You know, he beat Rodgers. He did enough to beat Aaron Rodgers. And then, you know, the safeties, Chris Conte and them give up the play to Randall Cobb on 4th down. If Jay puts Aaron Rodgers out of the playoffs right there and wins the division, it redefines his whole legacy.
I asked Greg Gabriel regarding Devin Hester. Could he have been a better wide receiver? I've always thought that Jay Cutler did him no favors, and Greg's response was, Jay never did himself any favors. He was just not, the leader type. And he, a guy like Devin Hester is going to run a bad route every now and then or more often. And Jay is not the guy to coach a guy up. He's a guy that will, give him the shoulder. And so I'm sure that didn't, that was a thing that Devin Hester hated about him. If we ever get a chance to talk to Devin Hester, that's one of the subjects I'd love to bring up. Could you have been a better wide receiver with a quarterback who would have worked with you better? I bet he would reveal an honest answer about that. Because the guy,
if you get him on, is Will.
Will who? Oh yeah, Will Wright. Will Wright has started his own, and I gotta call this guy. He started his own podcast network, so we should get him on as a guest. Maybe we get Will in as a guest, and he brings Devin Hester with him. That would be awesome.
Cool dude. Will's a cool dude.
Hey, we got a question here. Did I save it? God damn it, no. Oh, you know what? It was actually a question for Greg Gabriel. But the question for Greg Gabriel, I'll ask it to you, just digress a little bit from the quarterback topic. Who was the worst safety you've seen play with the Chicago Bears? That guy's response was Chris Conte. I'll never forgive him for his terrible play, especially against the Packers, blah, blah, blah. You've seen a lot of bad safety play with this team. Do you got a guy that you think was just horrible?
I'd have to think about that. I mean, like, I've been watching the Bears now almost 40 years.
Nobody immediately comes to mind other than Chris Conte.
How about Adam Archuleta, the year the Bears?
Oh, good one. Yes.
Archuleta, had some good years with the Rams, and when we got him, I guess he just didn't have anything left.
Yep. Adam Archuleta and what was the name of that defensive tackle who won the
Orlando Pace?
No, the defensive tackle, Stephen Paya.
Oh, yeah, Paya.
He broke the record for lifting weights and so forth. Those two guys are prime examples that you don't go by fucking testing. Archuleta was also a workout warrior. There were highlights of him doing fucking Superman type things and jumping onto tables that were 8 feet high and blah, blah, blah. And, you look at these guys, man, I want that guy. I want that guy that bench presses record numbers at the combine. I want that guy who looks so good in his fucking shorts. And then Kevin White, the guy looked like a fucking Tarzan plus King Kong at the same time, or King Kong is a bad analogy, but
Chase Claypool too, another one that just looked like a Greek god in his draws, man. Kevin White too, but that's not helping you catch footballs out there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And so, I will never judge talent based by a athletic number that they put up at the combine, or one of those, Bruce Feldman freaks. He writes for The Athletic, and he highlights freak athletes. Most of those guys just don't fucking pan out. Oh, that's the missus, the soon-to-be missus.
Oh,
Isn't
she
it?
with us?
Oh, that's not Juggy Nuggy. I'm sorry. Who
No,
the
I
hell's
haven't heard
Juggy
from her.
Nuggy?
Where the hell is
Uh-oh.
Nikki? I haven't heard from her.
How are you guys doing? Everything okay?
Yeah, everything's good. Everything's well.
Getting
We're a couple weeks
excited?
away. I'm in the middle of my second straight 76-hour work week, my third next week, just to help finance some of this shit.
Yeah.
So,
Oh shit. Well, I'm looking forward to. I'm going to Dan's wedding. What date is that? August 7th.
August 8th.
8th. I get in the 7th. Go to the ceremony on the 8th. Then you guys are going to, as part of your wedding celebration, go see the great artist known as Marilyn Manson. Let me see if I got that great picture of you and Marilyn. Absolutely. What's the name of the other guy with Marilyn there?
That was his real name's Jordy White. His stage name was Twiggy Ramirez. He was with him for years and years and years, and ironically was accused of raping a girl somewhere around 2013, and Manson fired him.
Is that right?
Manson said that the girl the band was called Jack Off Jill, and Manson said he had known the girl 20 years and she had never lied to him.
Mm-hmm.
So when she accused his friend of rape, he had to side with her.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah, and then all these things happened to him, which I'm not saying are all false or anything like that, because I don't want to denigrate the plight of a victim struggle.
Yep.
But he hasn't been on the road or anything for 5 years and is trying to bounce back. And we're going to see him, and we're going to the aquarium and the zoo, and we're going to be upside down on roller coasters all day at Kings Island as well.
Wow, what a great day. And then end up the day with us having dinner. So that's going to be outstanding. By the way, that guy.
A couple days, but yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. On Thursday, we're going out to dinner. That guy that is no longer with Marilyn Manson, he looks a little like Swifty from the Swift Sports Network, doesn't he?
He is famously another guy that has a giant cock, though.
Oh, really?
Would you want to be a guy that was fired from your industry, but you have a great cock, or a guy in the industry that has a little tiny puny cock?
Listen, I would give up both of my arms to have a bigger cock. I'm not sure how that would work during sex, but the older I get, the smaller my cock gets. What's going on?
I'd love to be one of these guys that's like, it's so big I can't get anybody with it, which is the worst complaint I've ever heard. You ever heard people complain about that?
Yeah.
They're like, my dick's too big. No one wants to sleep with me. I'm like, come on.
Yeah, and so you got to fight off that impulse of, taking a look down at the crotch. What are you packing? I don't know. Change the subject, please. Hey, Dan, you've never played fantasy football, right?
No, God, I don't want to root for anybody other than the Bears, period.
Yeah, I'm actually in 2 leagues this year, but I wouldn't mind looking into another league. So the answer from me is yes. And so just reach out to me. And Heidi's saying, "Ay, Dios mío."
Yeah, but do you really want to be watching the Bears and be like, man, I want us to win today, but I hope that Rodgers throws for 3 touchdowns, though, because it's going to help my fantasy. Like, I don't want to be in that situation.
And I did that for 2 or 3 years back in the 90s when I first got into fantasy football, and it was like a fucking drug to me. But the last 2 years that I've been playing, I turn off all the fantasy stuff after I submit my lineup. I don't even remember who I started.
And then watch it after the fact.
Oh, yeah, and
that
then
makes a lot more sense.
Right on Monday, then I look at the numbers. How did I do? And that's it. I don't. Bears first, man. Bears first. I've given up a big part of my life to this fucking team, and I'm not going to cheat on them, so to speak.
Right, and I don't want to be thinking about, well, I want this guy, to catch 4 passes in the end zone, but somehow we win 35-28. No, I want to win 35-3.
Exactly.
Again, I'll settle for winning 6-3 if we just get some fucking wins consistently. We talked about it. One of the last shows that we had done since the Super Bowl, the Bears have, we can run through it right now. Since winning the Super Bowl, the Bears have made the playoffs in 86, 87, 88, 90, 91, 94, 01, 05, 06, 10, 18, and 20. So 12 times in almost 40 years since winning the Super Bowl, the Bears have made the playoffs.
That's ridiculous. That's
You remember
fucking
at the time the Bears
Right.
won the Super Bowl, everybody said, "Oh, at the 22-year drought, all the frustration since 63 and all that." Now it's almost 4 decades. So
How about that?
people are dying now, and they still haven't won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You know?
And when people complain about the organization, I hate to listen to complainers, but everybody has the right to, because this has been bad. And so when you can criticize Dan Wiederer for some of the stuff that he writes, because it does seem like he'll pull something together just for clicks, like the whole Justin Fields, criticizing, throwing his coaches under the bus, I think was the line that he put up on Twitter, and that created a big stir. But at the same time, he said when I interviewed him, and it was totally correct, does this team really deserve the benefit of the doubt? No. Mike North doesn't give them the benefit of the doubt anymore, because that's been a lot of fucking losing, man. A lot of losing.
Yeah, but in my opinion, Mr. Wiederer is like a provocateur.
Yeah.
He's just trying to upset people, and that's like his shtick. Like I said, in some ways, what was the other guy's name that was there in the paper for years that did that shit? Like that was his whole thing, was to make
Jay
not
Mariotti,
the other guy,
Steve Rosenblum.
Yeah,
Bernie
Rosenblum. That's who
Lincecum.
I'm thinking of. That was his entire gimmick, was to try to make you mad.
Yeah, exactly. The kind of guy, and I actually have been accused of this, and as I've reflected on my life, they were probably right. The kind of guy who would just figure out a way to cut you down, make fun of you, and so forth. I remember once when I was a kid, 11, 12 years old, I was hanging out with two guys the entire day. At night, I say, let's go over to my house and get a bite to eat. And as we're going up the stairs, I lived in the 3rd floor over 1654 North Tallman, all of a sudden, one of the guys attacks me. I said something that irritated him, and I remember him saying to his brother, he's been saying this shit all day long. I have no fucking clue what I did to make this guy so fucking irate that he wanted to kill me in my own home. But so I got to be careful nowadays. I've done that throughout my life. I was in a fantasy football league, and I love the trash talking when you're in a fantasy football league, but sometimes I get too carried away, and because my jokes are so fucking funny. So
I had some guys a few years ago from the Saints. I don't even know. Like I'm not talking politics. No, I don't want to go down that road. But once Twitter became not what it used to be, I kind of haven't really been active on it in a long time, except for just connecting with you and getting on here. But I was a huge Twitter person back in the day. That was my favorite thing at the time. Yeah. And one of the years the Bears lost to the Saints, and I talked some shit, and like these guys were threatening to kill me. I was like, you guys, you're dirty. You didn't deserve to win the Super Bowl. You had to take cheap shots on Kurt Warner and Brett Favre just to get there. And I was like, you were listening to the other teams the other team's radio announcing in the Superdome. I was like, that whole team, your coach got suspended for a whole year because of all the cheating. And you would have thought I said their moms and daughters were all sluts. They were. I had to block like 50 people because they were telling me they were going to come in and like put bullets on my head. It's just everything you could see online that's bad, like caricatures of it. They were going to harm me and show me that I fucked with the wrong fan base. I'm like, the Saints? The Saints are the fan base that's coming after me? Shouldn't it be the Packers?
Really?
As much shit as I've talked about the Packers, I'm like, okay, all right, just come kill me and put me on my misery. But the Saints?
Unbelievable.
I kind of rooted for you all when Ditka was coach. I mean,
I know. I talked to Mike about this because we covered this a little bit in one of his chapters from his biography. He shares a great story about when Ditka had his first year coaching. He took his show down to the New Orleans Saints training camp, and then another show at WSCR went to the Bears, and they got higher ratings than the one with the Bears because there was this admiration and love and appreciation for Mike Ditka. It was unbelievable.
And it's still there.
Yeah. By the way, we're getting lots of compliments in the chat, so all I ask is for you to do this.
Okay, guys and girls, if you like what you see, give us a like, press the bell, and subscribe. Thank you, sweetie pies.
That's nice.
Still trying to find that AI voice that has a sexier quality.
Like you said, I'd love to have the AI somewhere on Madden.
Yeah. Oh man, I had the idea. Like, man, wouldn't it be cool if we could get like Madden and Summerall AI voices, and they come on and do special segments for us? I got to figure out a way to get that done. Probably cost me a little money, but it might be worth it if it's good quality AI. I actually found an AI that does Quentin Tarantino's voice pretty good.
That's pretty good too.
So I was going to use that for some of our stuff, but I couldn't get the inflection right. It just sounded a little flat. So I'm going to continue to look for a good Tarantino AI voice. By the way, I saw as I was browsing through the internet to prepare stuff for today's show, I found this song and I said, you know what? I'm going to put some pictures to it.
Oh, baby, I've got some tits. They're big, they're round, they're amazing. I can bounce them up and down. They're so big, they're hard to manage. My tits are huge. Oh, they're so grand. I can use them to turn heads and make all the boys go, whoa, man.
Hooters.
Good tit man, Dan?
How could you not be? One of the best things I've ever seen in comedy. Did you see that sketch on Chappelle's show back in the day where the girl's talking about, I'm tired of being objectified. Everyone just talks about me because of my breasts. And then in the sketch, her tits are taken away from her. And now she's flat chested and guys won't even hold the door for her. She can't get a date. No one buys her food. And it's like a Scrooged kind of thing. And by the end of the sketch, she has her tits back and now she's so grateful.
I love it.
Yeah, but it was so on point, man, because shit that women say, The worst thing for a guy is if you have a woman that wants them reduced.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, that'd be what if I was I want my dick smaller?
Yeah, I don't think any guy has ever said I need to get dick reduction surgery.
Right. If they said they're pretentious as hell, but yeah.
Yeah, and if they did, where's that other part? Can you sew that on me?
I told my friend Antoine that. I was like, look, I don't care if you're black or not. Somehow, if you die first, I want your penis on my body. We'll worry about the racial or the different skin tones later.
All right. We are about 20 minutes away from the Tooch joining us. Let's get back to our quarterback discussion.
Yeah, we're going to talk. Where do you want to go? You go all the way back to the Avellini? Is that where you're going with this?
Yeah, I mean, when the Super Bowl started, who the hell was the quarterback for the Bears in the 65?
See that? Now that's before my time. I'm more of a late 70s, like Walter Ron. We'll see.
Yeah, let's pick it up from there. So you were 6-7 years old when Jim McMahon was drafted to the Bears, right?
Oh, he was drafted in 82. I was a baby.
Oh, that's right.
But I became a Bears fan because of Jim McMahon, because of all the pop culture stuff, man. I mean, I was like, I don't know who's that guy play for the Bears. Okay, well, I'm a Bears fan.
Yeah.
And I mean, and then sooner or later I was watching, Bobby Douglas is a little bit before me, early 70s with the left arm and running around. I've certainly seen my highlights. But yeah, Jim McMahon was my guy. Yeah, for sure. And then of course, in that same era, we've got Steve Fuller and we've got Mike Tomczak. Harbaugh's drafted in 87. You have Doug Flutie, of course, Vince Evans. Who else we got in that early 80s era? God, the guy that started the playoff game for us against the Eagles. We could have had Ken Stabler, but no.
Yeah, it wasn't Rick Meyer. Rick Meyer was
Rick Meyer's 97. Oh shit, he was traded for Paul Warfield of all people, because Warfield went from Cleveland to Miami, And then Cleveland used that pick on this guy, and then we got him, and he played for us in the 79 playoff game. Ah, come on.
Oh my goodness.
I'm looking up.
Yeah, look that up because I
can't believe I can't remember his fucking name right now. 1979.
surprised somebody in the chat hasn't come up with it. Come on, Joe Grizz.
The Bears could have beaten Philly in that playoff game, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Veteran Stan Walter had like an 80-yard touchdown that was called back.
Yes, indeed.
All right, let's see. Why can I not remember this guy's name? Here we go, Mike Phipps.
Former Cleveland Brown.
Yeah, he was a part of that Paul Warfield, or ended up being a part of the Paul Warfield trade. He was the draft pick.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so Mike Phipps, they could have had Ken Stabler, but Mike Phipps played. Avellini did get us to the playoffs. That fun game against the Giants.
Mhm.
Again, we've talked about on air before. So the Bears had not made the playoffs since 63. It's 77. Walter probably could have broken, at the time, OJ's record, which was later eclipsed by Eric Dickerson for single season rushing. But they get there, and it's an ice storm. I mean, you can't stand up. Walter had like 30 yards. He's on skates, man. It's just sleet and ice all over the field. They can't run the ball. But the Bears have to win at New York. New York's represented by one Larry Zonka that day. That's fun. Former football great at the end of his run. But the Bears have to win to make the playoffs, and they do. And it's so late in the game. It's like in overtime. And just the announcing is unbelievable. Like all objectivity goes out the window when they're like, the Bears have made the playoffs.
Love it. Love it. Yep.
Yeah, from our old wide receiver Johnny Morris, who couldn't hold it back on CBS at that moment in time. So it's so fun. But then they go to Dallas and lose like 37-7.
Badly. Yep.
But Avellini was a stud in that game against the Giants, though.
He was.
Your guy, like a Brooklyn guy, I think.
Yeah, Avellini had some good moments with the Bears. You know what? Even Jim Miller, he had that one season where everybody was saying, you must be on steroids. And he
was in 99.
Yeah, but he held a press conference and says, you guys have been in the locker room. You've seen my body. You really think I'm on steroids? And he made a good point. But sometimes you could take steroids just for performance enhancing, but if you don't work out, you're not going to get muscles. It's, it'll be easier to get muscles. I think he did, take some type of performance enhancing.
Well, he was suspended 4 games for it in 99.
Look at that.
I think, if I'm guessing, like Jim would have said, again, look at my body. And this is Jim Miller, not Jim McMahon. Jim Miller probably took it for recovery.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
If he was suspended for it, so I'm assuming he did it. I don't want to denigrate him, but he probably did it just to help him overcome soreness or something.
Mm-hmm. Scottish Bear says Jimmy Mack was underrated. He was in the defensive age. Put Jimmy Mack in the modern era with the likes of 49ers, Kansas City, Miami, current Bears. He would be sensational. Well, we had him on the show. Mike North interviewed him. And
we had him on here too?
And we had him on here too. And he said, that Mike Ditka called plays like an offensive lineman. And he didn't like that. And when he was at BYU, I remember seeing a handful of BYU games because, I was looking for a college quarterback to come in. And the guy, was in a pass-friendly offensive system, and he produced. He was good. And so when he was drafted, I thought, well, maybe this could be the guy. I wasn't, being a beer drinker myself, I wasn't too impressed with the fact he gets out of limo with a can of beer, but he was that kind of, he had that aura, I think, that the Bears needed in their quarterback. One of the guys, a kick-ass guy, anti-establishment. That was a fun fucking year, man. Him dropping his drawers during Super Bowl week to a helicopter and taking pictures. That was a pretty wild ride. So I wanted to ask you this. Do you think that the Bears, particularly in this century, have paid more attention to the quarterback position and they failed as a result of bad luck, or has it just been more of failure by the administrations to pick the proper quarterback and develop the proper quarterback? What say you?
That's a tough question.
All right.
In 99, they drafted Cade McNown.
Mm-hmm.
So in entering this century in 2000, at the start of the year, we hoped we had our guy because Cade showed some moments in 99. They played him sparingly. He had a couple starts, but he came in and threw the ball a little bit and
Right.
looked okay. He'd have a couple drives here or there. So there was hope. Then by 2000, when it was over, they were like, God, we're moving on now. So he only played 2 years. And then like you said, they had Shane Matthews and Jim Miller in 01. Good things happening there. 13 wins. By 03, they tried to get Jake Plummer in free agency. Jake was highly sought after with the Arizona Cardinals at the time and had shown some good things himself, but he went to Denver. So then they had to settle for Cordell. But they drafted Rex. So they had, by the time 03 is over, they got a kid who's won 2 of his first 3 starts. First touchdown pass was against Champ Bailey. All right, but the sky's the limit. By 04, he's hurt immediately in week 3. And then he's hurt in the preseason in week 5. But then he's finally healthy and we go to the Super Bowl. And then when they give up on Rex and Kyle Orton, they go to Jay Cutler.
Right.
And again, you give up 2 first-round picks and a third and like a fifth to get Jay. So they're going to let him. He's only 26 when you get him, so you got to stay committed to that. So Jay's here through 16. And then essentially they go with Mike Glennon just to get anybody else in here. And then it's Trubisky, the second overall pick of the draft. And then you get Justin Fields in the 11th spot in the draft. And now the number 1. So the Bears have been trying.
Yes.
The Bears have been trying since
They really have.
99 on. They've been taking some swings here. I know it looks like on paper that they just haven't given a shit. And maybe that was true for a while. I don't know. But I don't think that's true this century. They've been trying to get their guy. Whether, like, again, quick review, Cade McNown, 12th overall?
Yes.
And they went for Jake Plummer, who was kind of like Cutler, very young, but still a lot of skill. Didn't get him. Got Rex. And then Rex and Kyle leads to Jay Cutler, and then Mitchell Trubisky, and then Justin Fields, and now Caleb. So they're taking some swings, man. And at the end of the day, because we took so much shit from Don Burr, I will say at least the Bears have won 1 Super Bowl and gone to 2.
That's right.
Because
Don
Detroit's
Burr.
never gone to.
Yeah, the thing is, the answer that I would have from my question is that it's been, I think, 60% bad luck. And the rest have been organizational failures in terms of developing the quarterbacks and in some cases picking the bad quarterback. The Mitch Trubisky, I was supportive of him when he wore the jersey. Of course, I'm a fan. But prior to that selection, I criticized it here at the bar room. I thought it was a huge mistake. I thought that, that Pace did such a terrible job of vetting the quarterbacks. And, the old axiom in NFL scouting is you don't pick a quarterback that high who has only had 1 season of college football. You want experienced quarterbacks. That way they're basically in the minor leagues, learning how to read defenses and so forth. The guy couldn't beat out another quarterback for 2 years at North Carolina. It was just, and you trading up 1 slot. See, that was total poor decision making. Then you do draft a guy who has perhaps a bit more potential in Justin Fields, or you trade for Jay Cutler, and you don't provide the necessary weapons, as you talked earlier. He did get some later in his career with the Bears, but by that time, that it was just too late.
Was too old.
Yeah, the defense, exactly. So that leads to what has happened today. Today is a very, very special day in my life, because not only am I back here doing this show with you, but the Bears signed Caleb and Rome, who these guys a very, very high chance of being like a Montana Rice duo for the next 10 years. Be Williams to Odunze. Because Odunze is going to be here for 10 years, and Caleb will be here for 10 plus. And I think
let's hope.
I'm really, really like 90, about as sure as I can be without being absolutely positive about it, because anything can happen, right?
But didn't we think Justin would be here probably a decade when they drafted him?
I didn't. Well, a decade, yes. But I always had questions. Anytime a quarterback falls to number 10, or was it 11, whatever it was, and there's other quarterbacks chosen before, you start to wonder. Now, it happened with Patrick Mahomes, someone who
and
I wanted
Rodgers.
and Rogers. Oh, 20th, he went. So those things happen, but there was a little bit of some concern regarding Justin, and then I could sense that kind of attitude that he had at press conferences might it be flowing over into the quarterback room. We got the reports that the veterans, thought that he was being aloof and wasn't paying attention when Foles was giving advice to Fields. Foles has said that Fields didn't seem very interested in being mentored. So
and that's crazy when you talk about the dude that beat Tom Brady in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Was the MVP of the game, threw for like 460 yards.
Exactly. You would relish that. And so I don't know. I right now my feeling on Justin is that perhaps he fooled me into thinking you could be the guy, because some of the things that I'm hearing is that maybe the preparation wasn't really as much there as we were led to believe. Scottish Bear says, a funny thing, Aldo, is if we took Deshaun Watson, that would have also been the wrong choice. Yeah, I didn't want Watson in that draft because I was concerned about the amount of interceptions he threw at Clemson. My favorite quarterback was Mahomes because he had that Jimmy McMahon quality. He had that Brett Favre quality where he's just going all over the field and creating plays. And I thought this was a good time for the Bears to draft a quarterback like that because nothing else seems to be working. And the guy really had some wow highlights. So how are you feeling today? I've told you that I feel fucking great. We signed Rome Odunze and Caleb Williams on the same day. That to me is a symbol of what's ahead in the future. How do you feel, Dan?
I mean, I'm happy. I think maybe they waited. I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but maybe they waited till HBO was there to have this for the first show on August 6th, the big contract signing. I mean, if Brandon Marshall can sign on The View, why can't Odunze and Caleb sign on Hard Knocks? But yeah, I mean, you got your guy. I mean, he's the first pick in the draft, the first pick in the 2024 NFL draft, the whole draft. And that's your guy. So, and he signed. There's no holdout. You didn't want him to be, Roquan Smith and holdout, or go back even farther. Think of somebody that just was ruined by their whole Curtis Enos. Just like you get off on the wrong foot, man, when you hold out. You just do.
Absolutely, every time. So
thankfully that is taken care of. He's not missing any time, but he always said along the way he wasn't going. He said, I'm not worried about this at all. He said, my lawyers are taking care of it. The Bears are taking care of it. I'm going to be here. And he showed up to all the off-season stuff without a contract before.
Exactly. So, yeah, you got to feel about it. And as to what you said, so the story is that the Bears were negotiating with Caleb Williams' approval because he didn't have a agent like most players that do. But the law firm that was advising him did have certified people there. And that law firm has a close association with Caleb's father. And so Caleb and his father have this special relationship. Caleb trusts his father to make those business decisions because he has the background of a successful business career. And a lot of that stuff, that anti-Caleb stuff, came from people being concerned, old guard people in the NFL being concerned that his father was going to be too disruptive and try to break the CBA deal and will demand more money. And
or
blah,
the way
blah,
BJ Armstrong was with Derrick Rose.
Yeah.
His agent.
Exactly. So, but it's proven that, I think that what happened is that Caleb's father felt a good connection with Ryan Poles and Kevin Warren. When I saw them shaking hands at the pro day at USC, I think there was just some mutual, I think that the Poles and Warren saw his dad and say, I get it, man. This is your son. You've been working with your son at, being dedicated to football, being dedicated to his education, being dedicated to carrying himself like a professional. This is now the payout moment. I get it. I think there was that kind of mutual satisfaction, and it's just fucking fantastic to see that it's not an acrimonious situation, that he signed, he's ready to work, because that leads to my next question. Last year, Chris Aldo, the Houston Texans, was one of maybe 6-7 guys to pass for 4,000 yards in their rookie season. Do you think that Caleb Williams, and I'll ask the chat this too, do you think that Caleb Williams, with these 3 premier wide receivers that he has, with the
I'm going to
2
say
tight
no.
ends,
I'm going to go
immediately.
agnostic on you again.
Okay.
Because I thought for sure there's no way Jay Cutler doesn't get to 4,000 yards, especially with B. Marsh and Martellus Bennett, and Alshon Jeffrey and Matt Forte coming out of the backfield. And I was like, how's he not going to get to 4,000? And then you got Trubisky. Okay, maybe Mitch had a 6 touchdown game. I know it was a little padded, but okay, maybe he gets to 4. He doesn't get to 4. Okay, well, Fields has got to do it, right? Because Fields and nobody's done it with the Bears. Nobody. So my heart says, like with the Packers, I'm not picking the Bears to lose. Like I hate picking them to lose when we project the schedule. But if I have to pick games to lose, I'm circling the Green Bay games because we never beat them. Show me you can beat Green Bay. Show me you can throw for 4,000 yards. I've got your 4 jerseys already, so I'm all in. But until somebody does the 4,000 thing, I'm not coming on here and saying they're going to do it because it's never happened before.
You're so right. I couldn't agree with you more. The whole Green Bay Packers thing is so fucking true. It's like the Lions, we know we can kick their ass. Sorry, Don Burr, but it's true. I mean, we should have beat you guys twice last year. You're lucky you got that one victory.
Yep.
And that's not going to happen again. It's just not going to happen. I think you guys, there's a reason why Coach Campbell was crying at the press conference after that playoff loss. He said it. He said, we may never be back here again. He knew it. He knew that,
the thing he should have said to me is like, dude, it was my coaching. Like I was too aggressive, too late in the game. I kept going for it on 4th down instead of taking points, and I cost us the game. When he was essentially asked that, he said no. And everybody in that locker room's a grown man. They're not like high school kids. They're just going to blindly follow the coach. We're talking about grown men that know what's happening. They know you're the reason they lost the game. So either you own it or you lose that locker room, in my opinion.
Yeah, totally agree with you. I want to see how those Lions players react this season.
And now Goff's got that huge deal. Like, I'm not saying he didn't earn it.
Right.
But just a couple of years ago, even though he was the first round pick in the draft, the Rams wanted rid of him.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh man, that just seems like a Lions kind of thing to sign that dude to a big deal and then suddenly regret it a year or two later.
Yep. I do have to give the Lions credit. I think they've done a great job of drafting. I think Brad Holmes, their GM, has a vision and he's executing it very well. But there's still something. I think that coach is still going to figure out a way to fucking blow it. I understand why people love him. He's got that Mike Ditka charisma. He's had a great life story. I get it. But yeah, Dan, you were totally correct. This guy just makes boneheaded decisions.
Remember the game we were at? He could have beaten the Bears in 2021 when he was really struggling early on and just kept going for 2 instead of kicking extra points and ended up losing the game by 2 or 3. And he would have had those points if he just kicked the extra fucking point.
That's right, exactly. Bearski Film says, although he takes a lot of chances. Why is that thing there? Oh, I know why. I think I know why. I don't know why. Is that you?
That? No, I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
Can you see that volume thing there?
Yeah.
Below your face? Why is that there? Anyways, Johnny Santucci has joined us.
I don't see anything below John's face.
You don't see it?
All I see is a swoosh on the shirt. I don't see anything besides that.
Okay, so that's probably us just because we're in the control room. Why are you wearing a Cubs jersey?
That's all I see is the swoosh. I don't think anyone else can see it.
When I go to the Iowa Cubs game, I got to have something to wear.
Mm-hmm.
When I go to the AAA Iowa Cubs. So.
What are you, a double X?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll send you something to wear.
I'm working on that.
Former porn star. You can wear that.
Uh,
Tuch, I was talking. I'm so happy to be back. One of the reasons, of course, is getting back with the two of you guys. How have you been? What's going on? Did you get bad weather last night like we did in Chicago? What's been going on in your life?
yeah, we did. I was real close to the tornado in Urbandale up here in Iowa. And, I was out running a bunch of errands yesterday. I was off yesterday, so I was doing something. And, my mom came back from dialysis and she was like, could barely make it up the steps. It was like 105 here, and she was like, go get me something to eat, And it was like Monday, you get free pie with an entree at Perkins. So I was like going up to Perkins, like I'm up there and I get out of the car and I'm like, man, that cloud is giant. It's black. I was like, my 6-year-old's like, are we going to die, Daddy? Go inside Perkins, and as soon as we like touched the door handle, like it just started pouring, just like get inside, and all the Perkins signage outside the restaurant blew away. It's like crazy. And their power went off and they were like, oh, we don't have a fryer, so my one daughter likes fries, she couldn't have fries. So pick something else, and stuff like that. But yeah, it was, then it cleared up, so wild for a while.
That was fucking trippy.
I heard you guys talking about big boobs.
Yeah. Did you see the video? I'll show you a few seconds.
Yeah, I saw it.
Oh, baby, I've got some tits. They're big. They're
How big do you like them, John?
I like them all kinds, but it reminded me of a joke.
Which is?
There was a guy, he had 3 girlfriends, and he gave each one of them, he was trying to decide which one he was going to marry, so he gave each one of them $5,000. It's like, tell me what you did with the 5,000. So the first one goes out like, I got a complete makeover, so I could look beautiful for you every day. Second one was like, look, I bought you all this stuff, a new wardrobe, an 80-inch big screen TV for your man cave. The third one says, I invested 5,000 in the stock market, made 5,000. Here's your 5,000 back. I invested 5,000 more for our future. He's like, man, I really got to start thinking about which one I'm going to marry. In the end, he married the one with the biggest tits.
Yeah, to be fair, I like A cups to like how big the fuck are those and everything in between.
Yes, I'm with you. When I grew up, I must have got my hands on some magazine where there was, big-breasted women, and so I had a fetish for big breasts for a long time. I was a big fan of Russ Meyer movies. Oh my God, this guy's all his movies featured, women with double D, triple D cups and so forth. Would go to if I looked at a newspaper, Russ Meyer movie playing 20 miles away from Chicago, I'm there. But
he was a great director.
Oh, just fabulous.
Camera work and everything. It's just,
I'm with you 100%. This guy was a true filmmaker. Now, there have been a couple of times where people have talked about making a biopic on him because he's got a fascinating career. He was in World War II because he was a photographer. He shot a lot of that 16 millimeters movie stuff that you see on History Channel and stuff. He shot that. And then when he came back, he was a pinup photographer featuring girls with big boobies. And then he got into movies. He's had a very, very interesting love.
I got a small anecdote for you.
Please.
This is so true, too. I'm not going to say her name because she's a really nice lady.
Mm-hmm.
I know for a fact that I was not interested in a lady whom I had good sex with and a good personality, but she had some weird shit called an inverted nipple.
Yeah, I've experienced that.
Oh my God, her nipples. Like, where the fuck are her nipples? I can't get her nipples hard. They're not there. I can't suck on them. Like, I was just like, she has the worst breast I've ever seen because she didn't have nipples or they were inverted nipples or something. So I knew I'd never be with this woman because of her nipples. I'm sorry to admit that. It's true, though.
When I was 18, I finally, that wet dream that I had almost every night of a big-breasted girl. I finally dated a girl with big, beautiful breasts. And then she had inverted nipples, and that really screwed me up. I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do now? It's like, what do I fiddle with. I
The
don't
only
know.
other thing I think I've ever seen where I'm like, oh no, was like when they have those big gigantic areolas
Mm-hmm.
that look like baloney or something.
I don't mind that too much. I'm a bologna lover.
Okay.
But yeah, I made the most of time off. I mean, there's always something to do around the house. You know, like yesterday, the laundry. There's a drain in the laundry room in the basement, like backed up, some black water. Gross.
Ooh,
Gotta
black
have
oil.
the guy come out and route it out. You know.
Mhm.
And you know, a lot of other projects around here. I had this gigantic branch fall during a storm. I was like, it was like 500 pounds. I finally waited until my wife's brother-in-law came into town. Me and him and his son dragged it over to the wood pile. But yeah, always projects, you know.
Keep him busy, and the family's good.
Oh yeah, yep.
All right. So what do you
Are
got
you all
for us
settled
tonight?
in now in the house?
Yeah, are you settled in?
Settled in, you know, getting through some of the. I would say about half the boxes are gone.
Mhm.
And not this weekend, but the weekend after, I'm gonna drive some of my son's stuff out there to Hoffman Estates. He's living out there, so I'll drive out there, and then
Let me know. Let me know what
yeah.
day. Maybe I could
Yep.
meet you and take
Pop
out
in,
yeah,
get a little snacky dinner snack. Yeah,
that'd be awesome.
we'll do. Yeah, probably be Saturday. You know, there, drive out, get my son, drop off his stuff. You know, hopefully it's not 1,000,000 degrees out when we're moving that stuff. He's on the 3rd floor. It's like, hopefully I don't croak while I'm dragging.
We had a really nice spring, a lot of cool days and so forth. But it seems like as soon as summer hit, man, all of a sudden that fucking weather became oppressive.
Yeah, Sunday I took the girls to the water slide or water park over here down there. It's like a few blocks away here.
Mhm.
I went on the water slide where you like go into this bowl and then you drop out the bottom. And I was like, yeah, all right, climb up the big staircase up there, and I'm like, here I go, 56 years old.
Do you make fart noises like Dangerfield on Back to School?
I'm like flying through this thing. It was really fast. Like slams me around in there, my shoulder, my arm is sore, you know. But it's I'm too old for it. Too old for it. But
I love it. Any good looking chicks at that water pool?
yeah, yes.
Okay. So
I was like, if Dan McGuire was here, he would have been like, wood. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, my wife was there, so I had to kind of like, you know, get the shades on and inconspicuously scope.
All right, let's get on to their state of affairs. You got a good one?
Well, you know, it's the Caleb Williams era, so it's kind of you know, a little just hype. It's more hype than humor.
Okay. I like hype.
Yeah.
Trust me. All right.
You
gotta give him that huck too and spit on that thing. You get me?
Go get them, Tooch. Go get them.
Yeah, all right. Bears state of affairs. 2024 NFL offseason. The Caleb Williams era begins. Yeah, what's happening, Barflies? Well, exciting times are ahead as the Bears begin the Caleb Williams era. All eyes in the Bears world are on Hallis Hall today, with Bears rookies reporting to training camp and veterans reporting on Friday. The first practice of training camp is scheduled for Saturday. And good news, the Bears signed both of their first-round rookies. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, me too, man. Williams and fellow first-round rookie Rome Odunze reached contract agreements with the Bears today. Odunze signed a 4-year deal worth $22.7 million, which is fully guaranteed. His deal also includes a $13.3 million signing bonus and has a $4.1 million cap hit this season. Since he's a first-round pick, Odunze will get a 5th-year option that could keep him in Chicago through the 2028 season. Williams received 4 years and tops out at $39 million. Also has a 5th-year option. Williams' first-year cap hit for his contract is $7.1 million, which is the 10th largest cap hit for the Bears' 2024 season. Yeah, Bears fans will agree with the bar room when we say, and Caleb Williams era really couldn't begin without Caleb Williams, right? Yeah, it got a little weird there for a while, though, when no one seemed to know who was negotiating Caleb's contract.
All right.
Not even Caleb Williams seemed to know who was negotiating his rookie contract. Over the weekend, he was quoted as saying, "I'm not handling that. My lawyer's an attorney, and everybody at the head of the Bears, everybody up there up top is handling that. That's not my position that I'm handling." Meanwhile, the Bears thought they were negotiating with Caleb.
Ay, Dios mío.
Thank you, Heidi. Imagine George McCaskey's shock if he found out he wasn't negotiating with Caleb. Yeah, since Williams did not have a NFLPA certified agent, that meant that he had to negotiate his contract directly with the Bears as required by union rules. The Bears weren't permitted to negotiate with anyone but Caleb. According to an NFL spokesperson, the Bears told the league that they weren't talking to any third parties. Yeah, got a little Roquan-y there for a while.
What the hell? Oh my God! No way!
Yeah, Bears fans might remember former Bears linebacker Roquan Smith holding out while attempting to negotiate his rookie contract. There were even reports that his mom was maybe doing some of the negotiating. It's a bit like how Bears fans used to say it's just Roquan doing Roquan things, you know. It's Caleb doing Caleb things. That's been a little off and on strange at times with Caleb Williams. At first, there were rumors that Caleb would never come to the Bears. Then there was a rumor that Caleb wouldn't sign without partial team ownership. Then, apparently, he was seemingly unaware about who was negotiating his contract. It's all been a bit strange. So who was negotiating his rookie contract? Either someone wasn't telling the truth or the Bears thought they were negotiating with Caleb when they were actually negotiating with someone else.
That's good.
The most common workaround for self-represented players who really aren't representing themselves is to create a fake email address that is supposed to be theirs, but is actually someone else. In fact, one time a player's cover was blown when that player responded to an email from the team while he was out on the practice field.
I'm crying.
You can't make this stuff up.
You really can't.
But Bears fans can rest easy now. Both first-round rookies are signed. It's so important to get rookies into training camp, too, at the start of the team. So at the start of training camp, so the team could start gelling, and the team can get down to winning football games during the Caleb Williams era. Williams, after all, is the first quarterback taken by the Bears first overall in any NFL draft. So this era is vastly important for the Bears. By all accounts, the Bears made the right move by keeping the first overall pick and taking Williams rather than trading it away again. It all rests on the shoulders of Caleb Williams. Quote, "You start getting to the end of your break and you're training and you're ready to go," Williams said. "I'm really excited. I'm really happy to be back in Chicago and get this thing going. We're only about 3 weeks away," Williams said, talking about the upcoming Hall of Fame game versus the Texans. The Bears currently have around $12.3 million in cap space, according to Spot Track. That gives the Bears the 20th most cap space in the NFL. It's a stark contrast from last season when the Bears had $100 million in cap space. Hopefully this means the Bears are finally shaping up to be a competitive team. And hopefully the Bears have earmarked a good portion of that remaining cap space for an edge rusher opposite Montez Sweat and maybe some more offensive line depth. Excitement for the Caleb Williams era is building. We're less than 2 weeks away from watching Bears football again. How about that? Yeah. 3 weeks out from the premiere episode of Hard Knocks training camp with the Bears, and 3 weeks out from this show possibly moving to Wednesdays so we can watch the show live on Tuesdays on Wednesday. And that's Bears State of Affairs.
That was great.
Well done, brother.
I
Very well done.
Thank you.
There's Nikki. She's joined Dan there in the
Hi,
photograph. Dan, are you there?
Yeah, she was asleep earlier. That's where I asked her. She said she had fallen asleep waiting for us to start. So
Yeah, and then she said she caught up on, I think, what we had. So she sped through all the parts that I was talking and just listened to you.
I brought a little show and tell, Aldo.
Yeah?
Stuff I was working on.
Oh, that's right. Now let me get that close up there. Nice. I've seen that on the stands.
Oh, that one. I worked on that one.
Love it.
I got this one. I know we talked about this one.
Oh, the Willie Mays one. By the way, the one with Caitlin Clark, I actually purchased it and gave it to my daughter-in-law who went to Iowa.
I'll send you another one. You can have one for yourself.
Oh, you don't have to do that. But, I lost you. Sorry.
Yep. College football. Got to get ready. I mean, college football is like, I don't know where any of the teams are. There's 18 teams in the Big Ten now.
Yeah, you got to read a book to find out.
The Pac-10 is now the Pac-2. There's only 2 teams.
That is stupid. What a mess. What a mess.
Trying to study and find out where everybody are, who's going to have a good season and stuff. I know we got the All-Star game going on today. I haven't even checked the score. I like the American League in this. I don't know what the score is, but.
By the way, 2 or 3 comments I want to share with you that were posted during your Bear State of Affairs. This one was somebody's asking, were you reading from an airplane? Is that a teleprompter? You're reading from an airplane? I don't quite understand that. I thought you did a great job. Cliff said Caleb was asking the lawyers and his dad how the contract looked. Probably paid the lawyers hourly and saved the mint over an agent. And Bearsky says, honestly, I'd rather pay my family member than pay an agent. Makes sense to me. You know, if the family member knows what they're doing, absolutely. And I think we've seen some situations where the representative for or the advisor to the player hasn't, probably known as much as he or she should have. But Mr. Williams, Caleb's dad, seems to have a real good business sense. So, good job. Glad that's done. We were talking about the quarterback situation and what's happened previously. I wanted to get some general overall feelings from you about just the state of the Bears quarterback position over the years. And do you feel
it's a great topic.
You talked about it in your state of affairs. Do you feel the sense that we're finally now turning the corner?
I really do. I know that's the first quarterback that the Bears have ever taken first overall, in any of their drafts. I know we had a chance to take, I think, Terry Bradshaw back then, right? Was that
coin flip?
Coin flip. Yeah, we lost out on that. So what could have been, and then the quarterback position for the Bears has been since 1963, the sort of the bugbear, not no pun intended, but sort of been the Achilles heel of the team. Getting that quarterback position solidified has been, their struggle for all the time. Man, it was 61 years. So 1957, I guess. Yeah. What was it? Sid Luckman was 1942, right? Yeah. So 80 years of frustration with the quarterback position. So, yeah. This we've talked about it before on here. This season is so important. Aldo and I have talked about how important this is. We've even said this is the biggest season of all time for the Bears. So that's why I said the Caleb Williams era, to begin is, it's so exciting. It's great.
It really is.
I know. It is, and by all accounts, hope we'll get the monkey off our back. That's the main point.
Of the quarterbacks that have played for the Bears and you had high expectations for, I'm assuming there's at least one. Which one has disappointed you the most?
Oh man, it's got to be Justin Fields. One because of recency bias, but all that promise. Like I said, he's got 8 NFL records. I know they're like rushing records. I was going to ding me for that still, but I felt like we were close. And then there was before that the frustration with like Aldo and I we wanted Mahomes back then. They drafted Trubisky again, and we were, who the heck? I don't know this guy. And, what could have been there, but by all accounts, a good count for Caleb Williams has been Patrick Mahomes. So second time's a charm here. But yeah, getting Caleb Williams signed today. I originally wrote my Bears State of Affair was like, why is a Caleb Williams signed? Then I go back and holy shit, he just signed.
A few hours ago.
Rewrite the whole fucking thing. So.
Well, you did a nice job of blending in, making the necessary changes, and you covered a lot of bases too. So
for a while, I was like, this is weird. He doesn't have an agent, and he's not negotiating his contract. So. Is he gonna ever sign? We go all the way through training camp. He decides I better get an agent, but it worked out. So it's just kind of weird, the whole some of these things have been weird around Caleb Williams, hoping it's not getting, like I said, too Roquan-y.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was talking to Greg Gabriel on his show earlier today. That whole thing with Roquan was, Ryan Pace bringing in his bean counter, Joey Lane from the New Orleans Saints, and they were trying to smudge on the guaranteed dollars. And so Matt Nagy said that at this podium was, one of their concerns with Roquan. This is right after he was drafted. One of the concerns was that he leads with his helmet a lot, and that if he ever got suspended or missed a long amount of time because he was doing this faulty technique, that it should impact the guaranteed dollars. And that it was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Yeah. Even if you guys have talked about that privately, why would you share that publicly and basically tell the league, yeah, we're going to try to fuck you in every which way that we can?
Nagy he was a fucking dumbass.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, I mean, that was the contract sticking point. Was that like Roquan? He's an injury liability. We want to have some protection against him missing games, stuff like that. And no player's going to want to sign that.
No way. No way. And it's always at the team's discretion.
Yeah.
It's like, I should trust the team about my money that I've earned. Yeah, not right. Dan, I'd like your thought too. Biggest disappointment for you?
Biggest disappointment, quarterback wise?
At the quarterback position of all, guys that you said, well, and like Tooch said, recency bias tells him that Justin Fields was the biggest disappointment. But what about you? You feel the same way?
I was the big Fields guy, but if you told me on draft night that he'd be gone in 3 seasons, I'd be like, man, he must have been a huge bust.
Great point. Yeah, unthinkable, Dan. Unthinkable.
Yeah, unthinkable. And the ovation that he got, if you think about it, the Bears fans across the board were pissed off with Trubisky. It wasn't Mitch's fault. He didn't draft himself, but everyone was booing him. Remember, he went to the United Center and got booed.
At the Bulls game.
Yeah, conversely, the Bears fans love Fields, and they were chanting for him in his last home game. I mean, but if you combine all that and say he'd be out the door in 3 years,
we never would have thought that. Same with Trubisky.
But I expected more from Fields, though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like Trubisky, I rooted for because he was a Bear, and I hoped for him, but I didn't think he was that good. I hoped that he would be good in time. But Fields I really thought was good. So I hate to take your answer. Because Jay had his moments, whether it turns out he was 51 and 51, but still Jay had a lot of good moments while he was here. And man, I hate to go with Fields just because that's how much I believed in him, though.
Yeah. It's disappointing. Cutler at least had some successes. He was here for quite a long time. And Eric Kramer, Cliff says Eric Kramer. That's also a good one too, because he had a awesome year, and then had the injury.
Right, broke his neck.
Yep. So that was also disappointing. I thought we'd finally found someone who could really sling the ball.
Maybe again, not that I'm saying this guy was a disappointment, like he was a bust. I'm not saying that he was a bust. If we're talking emotional disappointment, right? Like a guy that we believed in. When I was a kid, man, I should have, if I'd have been a grown man, I'd have realized McMahon and Tomczak got along. They liked each other. But as a fan, I thought Mike Tomczak was like, as a kid, I hated him. I was like, why is he taking Jim's spot? So when Jim Harbaugh has got the job, I was like, yes, he's not Mike Tomczak. Fuck Mike Tomczak. I like Tomczak now when I go back and watch the games. Undrafted guy, worked his ass off, went to therapy to deal with Ditka and all that. But, man, I thought Harbaugh was like the real deal when I was a kid. And it turns out he still almost got the Colts to the Super Bowl, but I expected that with the Bears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody just said, I just had it up on the screen, that Luke Getsy, I think it was Mayhem, Luke Getsy ruined.
It's Cliff,
Cliff ruined Justin Fields. And I got to say, that's been a
We'll
huge
find out.
problem. Yeah, we will find out.
He's going to be in Las Vegas with Gardner Minshew.
Mm-hmm.
Is he their starter?
Yeah.
God, that's terrible.
He's all right. I don't think.
I mean, he's not
Minshew's
good enough
better
to
than
be
a
the
lot of guys.
starter.
Yeah,
he was pretty good in Indianapolis last year, filling in for. But that kid, Anthony Richardson, might be pretty good. I'd like to see what he's.
How would you feel if Gardner Minshew was the Bears starter? You'd be like, it's going to be a long year.
Yeah, as a backup. Yeah, I agree though. Dan, a good point. But yeah, for Las Vegas, I mean, it's better than what they had. They had rookies last year, or Aiden O'Connell, I think, was their starter.
He was a bum, but I just can't see why Garoppolo almost went to the Super Bowl again and did go to the Super Bowl once and almost won it. He's got some talent. I don't know what the fuck's wrong with Jimmy G.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I was going to say that Getsy and Justin Fields weren't a good fit. So you got Justin Fields, who has certain strengths in certain areas, but Luke Getsy doesn't know how to properly employ that. And Luke Getsy is thinking about his own career. I mean, he says all the right things, everything's focused on Justin. What can he do? How can we help him be better? And blah, blah, blah. But in reality, he wants to employ what he knows best. And the chances of him now learning how a athletic quarterback could thrive in the NFL, he's thinking to himself, well, it might take me a year or two. And, I'd rather invest in myself teaching him how to do my work, my system, than the other way around, me learning his system. I think that happens with a lot of coordinators, a lot of coaches and stuff. They get too fucking married to the way they approach things. When I heard Lovie Smith saying, Rex Grossman is our quarterback, or these are we run a cover 2 here, we're never going to change it was just like, there's no flexibility. I think that when you're a leader, a coach, in whatever walk of life, you got to have a certain amount of flexibility and change with the times. I don't think Pat Riley, perfect example. So we've not had that with Chicago. And so I hope, Kevin Warren, Ryan Poles, all those decision makers are focused on that. And that if Matt Eberflus, let's talk about that aspect. Do you think that Matt Eberflus made the right adjustments after those 2 catastrophic events happened? The Alan Williams thing, and then the running backs coach, and then Justin Fields blaming the coaching staff. Do you think that Eberflus adjusted well?
Breakdowns, second half
my gosh, yes.
Eberflus, playing not to lose. Yeah, we gave up how many double digits leads last year?
Oh my goodness,
3, maybe 4.
I think it was 4.
The most frustrating aspect of what you're asking, and I'm probably not giving you the right answer, but what
There's no
came
right
to my
answer.
mind was, like you said, he was 0-4 and overcome the coaching problems, which initially were his hire, so it's his fault. But yeah, he turns the defense around in theory, and trading for Sweat obviously had a big part of that. However, they get to the last game of the season when there's a chance to knock out Green Bay, and the defense just stops doing what it's been doing the last 6, 7, 8 weeks, and the offense goes back to playing the same game plan they did in week 1.
Yeah, how about
it's like they didn't want to win the Packers game, and the fact they were just too afraid to play the game they had been playing the last month and a half is still disappointing to me. And again, if the Bears win that, maybe we don't have Caleb Williams, but
That's right.
I still wanted to win that game.
It's so predictable too against the Packers, though. Dan, they're going to come out and play like shit.
Why is that?
I don't know.
I mean, everybody with Green Bay, all these coaches they've had are not fucking geniuses. It's not like everyone's been Vince Lombardi. I get it. Mike Holmgren won a Super Bowl, went to 2 others. But for every Mike Holmgren, they had Ray Rhodes and Mike Sherman. I mean, they've had some guys that really weren't great coaches as the head guy, and they still beat us. So, just put the Packer logo on, and they just the Bears wilt.
I love listening to Dan, particularly talk about the angst of being a Bears fan when it comes to playing against the Packers, because he does really capture the feeling of most Bears fans. I got to tell you, for many years, despite the fact that I lived as a young adult with the Forrest Gregg versus Mike Ditko wars, I never had that dread against the Packers, but I've grown it mostly in the Rodgers era because I was getting so fucking. I lost my patience with trying to beat these great Green Bay quarterbacks. We did beat Brett Favre a few times before he moved on.
At the end of his run, yeah, they started
at the end of his
him.
run. Right. Like I think 3 out of 4 games we beat them, if I remember correctly. But then they bring in Aaron Rodgers and it just fucking changes again. I was in Hawaii watching the Packers play the Bears at Soldier Field, and the Bears got off to a good start. And then here comes Rodgers throwing off of 1 foot, a 40-yard touchdown pass. Despite the fact that they were reclaiming wide receivers that they had let go and bringing them back, and you had every reason to think this is when we'll hold off the Packers and Aaron Rodgers. We get off to a lead, and all of a sudden he comes back and he's throwing all these passes. I was at a bar in Hawaii, and there happened to be a Packer fan in front of me, and he was fucking gloating, and his penis just got bigger and bigger and bigger.
Gloating?
Yeah, right.
Do you remember at the end of, I think it was the end of 20, before we lost to the Saints in the playoff game. And it's just like, if there's one play that epitomizes everything you're saying about Rodgers versus the Bears, Rodgers does a pre-snap read, and suddenly Danny Trevathan's on their wide receiver and can't keep up with him, and it's like a 77-yard touchdown. And he just got it in the pre-snap reads. He was always one step ahead of all of our defensive coaches after Lovey.
Yeah.
I mean, Lovey would play in that fucking cover too, and Rodgers would beat it because Urlacher was too old and couldn't drop back anymore, and he'd always put it behind Urlacher in front of the safety perfectly. Mm-hmm. And Green Bay knew exactly where our guys were going to be at all times. But after that, I mean, it didn't matter what we called. I mean, like I said, he was so good at just if you remember that Trevathan play, I mean, it was embarrassing. And it's just like, man, guys, we're trying to make the playoffs here. At home. I don't. You all aren't coming. Maybe you don't remember that play. I hope you don't. Fuck it. It's better you don't.
Yeah, I think I remember the player you're talking about, but I'm not absolutely sure. I will say this: Ant Mass caught my attention with this remark. I don't think Poles' vision would have worked out if Poles had hired Jim Harbaugh. I think that's another thing that we could talk about for an hour. So I feel like if Poles hires Jim Harbaugh, a lot of fans would love it, but he probably would have tried to trade out of that number 1 overall pick, drop down in the draft, and pick his Michigan quarterback, J.J. McCarthy, and get that haul for the number 1 overall pick, which might not be a bad thing if J.J. ends up being a good NFL quarterback.
And we hope he doesn't.
Exactly.
No offense. I know he grew up a Bears fan, but you're with the enemy, buddy. I'm sorry.
Out of training camp, all reports are he's doing pretty darn good up there.
Is he? Well, JJ? Well, yeah, that was minicamp,
Yep.
But he's not signed yet. And the word is that they will probably wait.
Hold out, JJ. You're worth more. You want more than Caleb got.
Yeah.
Hold out.
Mike Florio reported that the Vikings haven't even approached McCarthy's agent, and perhaps that's because they were waiting for the Caleb details to come out. They'll probably be on the phone tomorrow and work it out. They're not reporting until later in the week, so McCarthy probably won't miss any time if they get it done. But yeah, they've been slow out of the gate to sign J.J. McCarthy. But yeah, this would have been a totally different complexion to the team if Jim Harbaugh was here. I am glad that Poles is being allowed to finish his vision. I don't like the revolving doors of coaches and GMs. And while I'm not a huge fan of Matt Eberflus, I think he deserves this third year. He's finally now got the players so that hopefully he doesn't make these mistakes. He's got a good defensive corner. Every time Eric Washington, I see him in a press conference, I'm impressed by what he talks about, his mentality, and the results of his coaching and coordinator past have been really, really impressive. So this defense, if they can find a pass rush, if they can get Montez Sweat some help at that other DE position, they still have enough salary cap dollars to manipulate to pick up somebody like re-sign Ndakwe or somebody else and rearrange some salary numbers and stuff. If that defense can continue how they left off, and now we've got an offense with weapons, a promising young quarterback, and an offensive line that should be incrementally, at least incrementally better than what we had last year, then we're in good shape.
Did you see that? Not to change the subject, just popped in my head. There were all these reports about a week ago. It was when we were on hiatus that the Bears were the leading team to sign that Packers left tackle that's hurt every year.
David Bakhtiari.
Yeah, do we really want to bring that guy in? Every time we sign a Packer, they're no good here.
Yep. Well, is that true? Let me see. We could go back in history. That's a great little project. Maybe I'll give that some thought. We could talk about that in an upcoming show. But you're right. David Bakhtiari is done. You know, he was a good left tackle, but Aaron Rodgers' outstanding mobility really made Bakhtiari look better than he really was. And for the last 2-3 seasons, he's had knee issues. There's no way. The only way I would even entertain signing him if he comes in at a league minimum, and there's no way he's going to do that. You know, some team with no left tackle help whatsoever is probably going to pay him closer to what he wants. David Bakhtiari to Chicago, no way.
Josh Sitton was okay for the Bears.
Yeah, there you go. I love that guy. Left guard Josh Sitton.
Yeah, he was okay.
What a great pickup, too. That was just like right before the season because the Packers
because they cut him inexplicably.
Yeah. Inexplicably, he is right. That was one of the times Aaron Rodgers got pissed off at Packers management. And rightfully so.
He was really rotund. Josh.
That's right.
Fat guy. Doing it for fat guys. Fat guys everywhere. Hero to the fat guy.
I love Kenny saying, we could see Bakhtiari with crutches on the offensive line. Can you take those out on the field and play? That's awesome. And Cliff says 99% of the rumor signings turn out to be rumor signings turn out to be BS. And he is absolutely fucking right. This whole thing with Connor McGovern, the center, I think Greg Gabriel made a really good point. When you saw those reports where people like Adam Schefter and some of the other pundits were saying, this guy is looking great. He could be ready to play by perhaps as early as the season, coming off that ACL. He was one of the top-rated centers and so forth. Those are agents planting stories and asking Adam, hey, here's the story. And Adam Schefter then doing so in return for more insider information down the road to keep those lines of communication going. But Connor McGovern probably will not be ready to play until October, November. And I think the Bears are done acquiring players for the offensive line. I think they're going to gamble on what they have. And hopefully Tevin Jenkins and Nate Davis are going to deliver as promised because if those two guys play well at the guard position, then Caleb's Caleb's chances of success will be much better. And I'm not too worried about the center position. They got two good guys there to fight for a job.
Do you think,
better than Lucas Patrick?
They're waiting for someone to cut maybe a defensive end they could look at after June 1st or whatever.
I'm going to start doing research on
after training camp.
Right. I'm going to do some research on bubble players because that's going to be a big, big thing. There's going to be some good veterans cut. There's no doubt about it.
Yep.
Yeah. So what else, fellas?
I had one more trivia question. I've said this on air before, but I think it was one of those nights where you were busy with production stuff, and you know how you can't always listen to everything everybody's saying. So we mentioned Bob Avellini before. Bob Avellini is the answer to a great trivia question. Again, I'm just giving you the answer. The Bears, the first time the Bears ever wore the Navy pants in a regular season game was in 1984 at Seattle. McMahon was hurt. Bob Avellini, with his last start, Ditka was so mad at him, he cut him on Monday. But he threw a touchdown to Willie Gault. And that day, Seattle had Franco Harris in the backfield, which was interesting. But the man who played the first game ever as a Bear in the blue pants, his last game, Bob Avellini.
Wow.
R.I.P.
I remember that game because there was a lot of talk in Chicago here about the blue pants and the debut of the blue pants, and the Bears keep fucking this up. I don't understand. But they don't go to the all whites.
I like that too.
I mean, this is a fucking no-brainer. I've never talked to anyone who had a problem with the all whites. This is classic. And then to bring back that darker helmet with the white C as your,
or at the very least, you could do the white on white some games and the white on blue some games. Like Minnesota does white on white and white on purple, but we're just like here goes another one. When was the last time the Bears wore white on white? And I'll tell you, It was Jay Cutler's debut, week 1, 09 at Green Bay on Sunday night when, the GM famously, Jerry Angelo dropped his glasses out of frustration because Jay kept getting picked off. But that was the last night the Bears wore white on white. Week 1 of 09. 09!
09. Jeez. That's a great trivia question. I was one of those guys that advocated to see the orange uniforms. When I used to play Madden football years ago, I would always do the custom uniforms and have them in all orange or orange pants or orange tops. And I was excited about that. But when I actually saw it a few times, I was like, I want the all whites. The all whites is the way to go, man. They should do like the Cowboys do.
I like the orange a few years ago, or even the early 2000s, 05, 06, that are when they wore the orange but still had the navy helmet.
Mm-hmm.
The orange helmet with the orange jersey and the orange socks is too much orange.
I agree. You got a preference, Tooch, on the uniforms?
I do like those white ones, all white. You just flashed up there. That's classic.
That's our era, Tooch. When we first started watching football, it was all
let me
white.
ask you all a question. Let's dive deeper. If you think about the Bears socks now. When, let's say, Walter was there, early days, the Bears wore the white on white with the home socks. They were blue with the orange stripes, the same with the ones they wear at home now with the blue ones. But after they got the white on blue, they changed to the road sock, which is white with the stripes. So then they started wearing the white sock, not the home one with the. So again, if you look at, say, Walter in 1983 wearing white on white, it's with the home sock versus, let's say, Jim Miller wearing the white on white in 01, it's got the road sock with it. So if you all can envision the difference, which one do you like better?
All right, hold on. Go ahead, Tooch. I want to bring a photo of that Walter wearing that.
Yeah, Loki had a artwork he does, Loki Del Rivero on X. He did like an all white uniform with a white helmet. He was calling it the polar bear outfit, or polar
like those
bear
Color
uniform.
Rush ones on Thursday night.
Yeah, all white with a white helmet. Yeah, it was pretty cool. But that'd be cool if they had some different combos, for this season. But yeah, that's classic too. Yep.
Those are the home socks. And when Walter, when we wore white on white with Walter, they still wore those home socks. But after the blue ones were created, they ended up going to a white sock on the road, and it matched the stripes on the jersey. So it's a white sock with the stripe pattern matching the road jersey. So again, they didn't wear those home socks anymore on the road. They have the white socks. So I was going to ask you if you all like the white ones or those home ones on the road too.
This is my favorite sock right here, but I get what you're saying. The white socks are the way to go. There's something about Chicago and white that I like. With the Blackhawks white jersey, I like better than the Reds. The white jerseys for the Chicago Bulls, I love better than the Reds. And all whites with the Bears, and I don't know, it just works better. And I'm not necessarily a guy that loves white jerseys over any other color, but it just seems to work better for my eye anyway. I wish I could just do the show as Walter Payton throughout. It's much better look than my ugly face. Anyway, great question. Who says who's porn star? What's going on here in the chat? Porn star.
I don't know that. Maybe they're talking about me. No, the Bears' schedule is a concern for me. It's like 6 of their last 9 games are division games. It's like, how's a young team going to handle that, and stuff. Because, man, that's like grueling, man. I was like, week 11 through, again, and then again, we finish up with the Packers,
Right.
Like, so, we don't play a division game until week 11.
That is wild, isn't it?
Yeah. And we also, before that, we have a trip to England. It's like, it's going to be a weird season, I think. Those last how many games? What, 8 games? Yeah, how many? 9 games?
4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah. There's just 6 of their last 8 games. No, 6 of their last 9 games, right? Or how many?
Yeah, from week 11 to week 18.
6 of their last 8 games. That's like it's like a gauntlet.
Yeah, that's interesting that you bring that up. Yeah, because it's from the Packers, home home game to the final regular season game, which is on the road. You start these NFC division opponents, and you begin and end that period of time with the Green Bay Packers. It's going to be really, really interesting. And then you've got, after you play the Vikings in that stretch of games, you've got a Thursday game and on the road in Detroit. That makes it really difficult. It's a good point. I didn't look at the schedule quite that way, but I actually do like the way that it starts, in that, you're playing a Titans team that, on roster wise, I think, this should be a team we can beat at home. And then, you're going to have a great big test down in Houston. Everything, fucking CJ Stroud threw for 4,000 yards. Is he going to throw for 400 yards against the Chicago Bears on a Sunday Night Football? That has that taste. But if the Bears do something tremendous that day, then all of a sudden the complexion of the season just dramatically changes. We could go on the road and beat the Colts. We could come home and win 2 games and then go to London and win another game and then rest up on the bye. Man, oh man, if we can get off to that kind of start, it'd be so awesome.
It reminds me of, that 2014 season when we hosted Buffalo in week 1, and you just assumed that Buffalo was going to lose, because they were Buffalo at the time, not the Bills that at least go deep into the playoffs and get knocked out by Kansas City every year. Like, they weren't making the playoffs at all. And who was their quarterback then? Who can even remember? And they came to Soldier Field on opening day, and of course ran over Chris Conte in overtime, knocked him on his ass, and won the game. Remember that one?
Absolutely.
Opening day in 14. That Tennessee game, if you lose, is going to be eerily reminiscent of that Buffalo game. You have to take care of business and beat the Titans that day. Yep. You can't fuck around. I know if you had to lose on paper, you'd rather it be against the AFC because it doesn't hurt as much as the divisional or certainly a conference game for playoff implications. But man, losing to Buffalo that day was just so I just felt like that was took the air out of the whole season.
That week 18 game against the Packers, to finish the season just like last season. But it would be nice if maybe the Bears and Packers are both vying for a wild card spot. That game becomes huge. It's got a TBD flex, designation there. So maybe it's, we don't know what day. We don't even know what day it's going to be on. But that would be something though. The Bears Packers. Last time was the Caleb Haney Cutler injury game where we had a chance to knock out the Packers. And then they end up getting in, and then they knock us off. It's so Bears.
Unbelievable. Yeah. One of the things that I like about this edition of the Chicago Bears is that I hear more and more Bears players talking about how important it is to beat Green Bay this season. We played the clip from Montez Sweat with Chris Long on that podcast talking, the Packers, they're not going to do that again to us this year. Jalen Johnson's been saying the same things. You're seeing, Caleb start to kind of understand and appreciate this intense rivalry that with Green Bay. Just seeing everything that I've seen about Rome Odunze, he's going to embrace that challenge of beating that rival. These are our number one priority is going to be beating Green Bay. This has that kind of flavor with the Chicago Bears team. And Lovey didn't immediately beat Green Bay, but what would you guess, Dan Aguirre, is Lovey Smith's record?
Lovey did immediately beat Green Bay. Week 204. Week 204 in Green Bay. Thomas Jones and Rex Grossman lead the way, I think, to a 21-10 victory. And I bought Thomas's jersey after the game. And again, so Bears. The Bears had a kick returner with the last name Jones, like Daryl Jones. So Thomas's jersey said T Jones. So I bought it as T Jones. Daryl Jones gets cut on Monday, and the next week Thomas Jones's jersey just says Jones.
Wow.
So I wear a jersey it's not right. And I told that to Thomas Jones, and Thomas said, "Hey, bro, I've got the T Jones jersey hanging up in my house, so you're not the only one."
That is fucking awesome. I love that.
Nice.
I love that.
Eberflus's next victory against the Packers will be his first, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and Fields never won a game against Green Bay. Isn't that just like if I'd have told you on draft night, this guy will never beat the Packers, you'd be like, oh, God. Yeah. Even Trubisky beat Green Bay, come on.
Last year's opener against the Green Bay Packers was one of the most disappointing losses. And
I was at the game with our guy Jay Bonds.
Yeah,
Oh,
it was just, we had such high expectations. Rodgers is no longer there. We got Justin Fields in his third year. This should be his turnaround season, and they just look so bad.
You know what? Think about this again. Just an ominous feeling in hindsight. It was supposed to be you and I that went to the game.
Yep.
And you had, your health issue manifested. And so that was against Denver there with me and Sylvester.
Okay.
But the point being, God, the opener was just scarred from the get-go. Like you couldn't even go to the game because you're worried somebody grab your arm and just devastate you.
Yeah.
So and again, that was just like a storm cloud all over it. We just didn't realize it at the time.
Yeah.
Someone was talking about Walter doing the jump man before Jordan. Is that Walter's dive over the top? Do you remember Aldo with WTTW Channel 11 in Chicago used to have a show called Image Union?
Oh, yeah. I actually had a movie on Image Union.
Yeah? Damn, I didn't know that. Nice. I used to watch that when I was a kid. But
I'll send you a copy.
There was this one movie on Image Union. It was all local people that made movies and stuff.
Right.
Amateur. And one guy was like, Walter to the left, Walter over the top. I remember saying it was just about a local Bears fan guy and how much
Love it.
Walter Payton. He would run in his backyard and jump. I'll never forget that. Run and jump like he was Walter.
You just reminded me of one of my special Bears moment. That late season game against the Cardinals at Soldier Field. The Bears had the win to get into the
79.
playoffs.
I sent you that game on DVD.
Yes, you did. And I'm so happy that you did too, because the irony to the story, not irony, but whatever the word is that I went to the game with a couple friends, and one of my friends had a portable TV. You ever go to a sporting event, you got the TV so you can watch the game on TV. It's got the antenna, you're watching the game on TV, and also looking up and So my buddy,
a little transistor TV to the
exactly. That's what we had, and so we're over seated on the goal line of the opposite field where the Bears are going far, and so we couldn't see real well. So I'm looking down at the TV, and the snow is starting to come down. And here goes Walter. He's got the ball at the 30, the 25, the 20. And I'm announcing it. And the fans all around me, after Walter scored, they're all jumping on top of me and so forth. I felt like a real broadcaster. I was, 19, 20 years old. I was so much fun, man.
That was the one day where shit went right. Now, Muggs Hallis died that weekend. So that was
yes. I learned about it at the game.
Right.
That wasn't that game, but I went to a game earlier that season when he passed away. Yes.
Well, the 79 game, if you think about this quickly, Washington played at Dallas that day. Mm-hmm. And think about this. The Bears needed Washington to lose just to be eligible to make the playoffs. Not only that, they had to beat St. Louis, the Cardinals were St. Louis back then, had to beat St. Louis by at least 30. So it's okay, here it is. The Bears are going to win by over 30 in the cold weather. You're at the game and beat the Cardinals, but Dallas will beat or Washington will beat Dallas and we won't make it, right? Do you remember the outcome, how the Redskins lost that day, that put the Bears in the playoffs? Unbelievable.
I don't
Redskins
remember.
Were up 13 with a minute and a half to go. And Staubach, in his last win ever as a Dallas Cowboy, threw 2 touchdowns in under a minute. The last one maybe was to Tony Hill. And the Redskins still got the ball one more time. And the next weekend on the NFL Today, they were showing all these angles where Joe Theismann was calling for timeout, and the officials saw him and still didn't give him the timeout. So they were cheating for the Cowboys in Dallas or Irving, Texas. But, there was all these camera views of Theismann calling for time and not getting it. But anyway, the Redskins had to lose that game for the Bears to even make it, and the Bears had to win by 30, and both of those happened. I mean, just
amazing.
Yeah, the odds of that happening are just, that would never happen for the Bears now. If we need 3 things to happen, forget it. We won't even win, let alone win by 30.
For sure.
Jesus Christ, Aldo.
Yes, exactly. Walter got 275 yards, and the Bears only win 10-7.
That was crazy. I remember that game
against the Vikings, right? Sensational game, and he I think he scored the only touchdown that game. But that was really what bothered me after the game. I was so happy that Walter broke the record, And he looked superb doing it. You know, he was doing the high stepping on some moves, bouncing off of Viking defenders and stuff, just unstoppable. But how can, you know, he only scored one touchdown? I think that was, you know, he did the only score, and the team scored only 10 points. You know, the story of my fandom with the Chicago Bears make me really fucking happy, and then all of a sudden just turn around and you got to question what the fuck they're doing.
That's
guys,
tragic. Go ahead.
Caleb Williams 0 should supposedly going to change that, Aldo.
It better, Touche.
That's what we're looking for.
The tragic thing about that loss to Washington, the Darryl Green game, you know, in '87 when we had the 14-0 lead in the playoff game and lost 21-17. The tragic thing about that is, like, if you listen to McMahon at the time, and he owns it. You know, he threw the interception trying to hit Willie for a touchdown. Then Darryl Green had the punt returns, the reason we lost. But McMahon was saying all that time, he called Walter Wally. He's like, we got to get to San Diego and get Wally his Super Bowl touchdown. So he was saying that, like, that was the idea. You got to get back to the Super Bowl. It's his last year, but we want him to score in the Super Bowl this time. And if they had won against Washington, they would have hosted the Vikings at Soldier Field for the championship game. Because San Francisco, who had only lost once the whole season, was beaten at home against Minnesota. Joe Montana was benched. Like, he was booed at home and Anthony Carter caught 200 yards against San Francisco. But there's no way they come to Soldier Field in the cold and beat the Bears for the championship game. There's no way, man. The Bears go back to the Super Bowl if Darryl Green doesn't return that punt for a touchdown. I wish we could butterfly effect that shit.
Bersky says that it was Joe Theismann. That is a true story. He pronounced his name Joe Theismann, and then when he was at Notre Dame, all the Heisman hype, he said, "No, it's pronounced Theismann." Where are you guys been?
He had a friend named Adam Thies. It was without the man on the end. So
is that right? Okay, Tooch with the inside scoop. All right, guys, we've got about 30 minutes left before we pull the plug on this episode. So, we can still talk more football, but I want to make sure I get this in real quick. I saw a movie last night. Couldn't fall asleep. And so on TV, it's this movie called Premature. It's from 2014. I'm going to play the trailer for you. But at first I was watching it and I'm thinking to myself, some of this humor, I don't know if they could get away with it in a movie made now. But it's because it's kind of misogynistic, but it's a high school comedy. And I think I got the trailer here somewhere. It's a high school comedy, and the main it's a ripoff of Groundhog Day. But the main character, he has premature ejaculation issues every time he gets with a girl. So every morning he wakes up after having a wet dream, and his underwear are just soaked with semen, and his mom is walking in to get the laundry and so forth. It's pretty fucking funny, which is why I wanted to share the trailer with you. Here it is, 2 minutes long.
Just throw the sheets in the laundry, hun.
Why are you dressed like Ellen DeGeneres?
I have my interview today.
Stay calm. You're gonna nail it.
So why do you want to go to Georgetown? My mom and dad, they met there. There goes Georgetown.
Focus on one thing you can still get into. Angela.
Miss Marconi moved a test up. She's getting a mammogram tomorrow.
Did you say mammogram?
Yeah, and how'd you make it sound so hot?
Mammogram. Hi, Rob.
That is nice.
Just throw the sheets in the laundry.
What is happening?
I wake up back in my room, and then my mom comes in. You gotta believe me.
I don't, but I'm worried about you now.
I'm having deja vu or a psychotic episode. I really need your help because I'm falling apart. I was really hoping you wouldn't cry this time. What? I wake up, life kicks the out of me, and then I have an orgasm, and then I live the same day all over again. Having sex is nothing you should take lightly. I know that. I've had like 7 orgasms so far today. Holy shit. I'm gonna do my own laundry from now on. I just woke up this morning. And I feel like I can do anything. I'm talking about living a life without repercussions. Not this time. I really like Gabrielle.
Let's go get that girl.
Yes!
Do you really think that I would have a threesome with the two of you?
Maybe.
He has a big day. Probably just needed to relieve some tension.
That was a lot of tension.
Coming way too soon.
Right. Yeah,
That's nice.
really funny.
Yeah, at first I said, with morality being the way it is, I'm not sure I'm going to like this. And in about 20 minutes in, I'm laughing my ass off. I'm thinking, I got to talk to the guys about this. It's named Premature. I forgot what service I saw it on. I think it was Netflix or something like that.
Yeah, Alan Tudyk in there from that Alien movie. Went for the Alien TV show. It's a Resident Alien.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised none of the other stars have had better careers, like the young guy and the two of the female leads. I thought they were really good, but I haven't heard of any of their work since. Not to say that they haven't been successful, but really enjoyed that. What about you guys? What have you guys been watching and liking?
I saw a movie. You talk about aging. Burgess Meredith kept saying the N-word, and I'm like, oh my god!
Whoa, what movie is this?
Yeah, it had Donald Sutherland and the guy from Ghostbusters. I can never remember his name. He's like the guy that they call Dickless, who turns off the machine and all the ghosts come out.
Yes,
you know what I'm talking about in part one.
I don't remember his name, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that guy and the really really hot lady. What's her name? Karen Black. Karen Black.
I love me some Karen Black.
Yeah, just a really, really beautiful lady. But she's like this money hungry lady who like just doesn't give a shit. And she just openly admits it's set in the 30s. All these people trying to go from silent film to like spoken word film.
Yeah.
And it's called The Day of the Locust.
The Day of the Locust, yes.
Well, I'll go ahead and give you a spoiler. Like Donald Sutherland's character is just meek, just generally nice guy who he likes to cook and he cares about people's well-being. And Karen Black just sees him for his money. Like she tells the guy from Ghostbusters, "Oh, we're not fucking. I mean, I'm just living there." So, and at one point he walks in the room and she's getting fucked by this other guy, and like he takes all of it. He's like such a nice guy, and like people insult him, and he takes it, and he takes it, and he takes it. Well, they're having a movie premiere, and we're talking 2 hours and 15 minutes into a movie. They're having a movie premiere in LA, and it's in the 30s. So this child comes up to Donald Sutherland and says, "You're a Nazi, you're a Nazi," and hits him in the head with a rock, and it busts his head all open. And Donald Sutherland finally snaps and grabs the kid and smashes his fucking head. He stomps the kid to death. But it's showing that the kid's crying, and Donald Sutherland's he's like kicking him for everybody. It's fucked with him for 2 hours plus, and he bashes this kid's brains in, and then people see it and they grab him and like they rip him apart essentially, and it creates a LA riots 1992 kind of riot. The movie's from 75. The movie's from 75 though, so that LA riots hadn't happened yet, but it like tears up Hollywood.
This is not a comedy. So when he's bashing that kid's head,
no, and it shows it too. He's stomping that fucking kid. You think Edward Norton on American History X with the curb, but just with no curb. He is just bashing this kid's head in. It's like he's had enough of people fucking with him. And I thought it made the whole movie, because at first you're like, man, this movie's slow. Where's it going? Yeah. But this riot scene like made the whole movie worthwhile.
It's always been on my list of movies to see. It's a John Schlesinger movie, so he made a bunch of really good movies. One of my favorites is that Excalibur.
That was John Borman.
Oh, you're right. It is.
And Borman directed Exorcist too.
Yeah. But Schlesinger, he's made some good movies. Anyways, before I turn it over to you, Tooch, I know that Dan had seen the new Axe, so
loved it.
I saw it too.
And you loved it, right, Cliff? Okay, so you guys talk about it. Yeah, both of you guys liked it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was funny. I mean, it's good to revisit the characters again. Eddie was really good, and you had get Judge Reinhold and John Ashton back again. Bronson Pinchot reprises his role. That was really funny. And then you have the Eddie Murphy and his daughter, estranged daughter story. Kevin Bacon is in it too. That was good. Yeah,
And Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah, Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah, they both blend in pretty well too. Like Kevin Bacon is like the villain, and you can see it coming a mile away. As soon as you watch it, you know he's the bad guy. But it's good, man. If you liked Beverly Hills Cop 1 or 2, then you'll love 4. Part 3 was dog shit. Even Eddie says that. So it's good to see George Reinhold back too.
Yeah, 48 Hours was my favorite Eddie Murphy movie, but I love the sound to the Beverly Hills Cop movie. Do they still have that old theme song?
They used the Glenn Fry Heat Is On. They used Neutron Dance by the Pointer Sisters.
The
Bob Seger song from Beverly Hills Cop 2 called Shakedown. So they use a lot of the same music from the old films too. You'll really like it.
I'll check it out.
The main theme is called Axel F.
Yeah, that one's in it again too.
It's
good, man. It really it's so good. Paul Reiser's back in it.
Yeah, Paul Reiser, right? He's in it. Yeah.
Wow, all right. Cliff says Beverly Hills Old Cops.
Yeah.
That's funny. What have you seen, Tooch, that you like that you want to share with us?
Man, the last 2 episodes of House of the Dragon.
I know.
So good. It's been so good. This season is awesome, man. It's so good, man.
God, when those fucking dragons are going at
it,
my wife is crying, man.
Yeah.
She's bawling her eyes. What are you doing? This fucking movie about dragons.
I know.
Queen is dead.
They're like the nuclear weapons, in the story.
That's definitely the allegory.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then, I mean, all the political intrigue. People are so cruel in this one too. They're just
my god
bad. It's like the king, he rides out like a dumbass. 2 episodes ago, it's like everyone's been talking behind his back. He thinks, because he's just a fuck up,
Yeah.
And his brother fucking tortures him, with his dragon, and he's like barely alive, and his brother's his brother has to kill him,
Right, absolutely.
Because if he wakes up again, he's gonna go, "You fucking burn me! You're gonna hang."
Shit, yeah.
So that'll be interesting to see what happens. The eye patch guy is great,
what a great villain!
Excellent villain,
yes.
Yeah, it's great. I wish Dan watched. He probably would.
I'm sure Dan would like it. Dan,
there's plenty of penises and vaginas in there for you, Dan.
I'm sorry, man. That's not my kind of shit. I'm just
Why? The genre?
Yeah, God, thou shalt not the queen, the fog is coming in. I just don't like that era. It's not for me, man. I know everyone else is in the I'm in the minority. I don't like that era of anything in any movie.
Yeah, the whole season has been fantastic, from the directing, the scenes, the storyline, all the little intrigue, and the little extra plot lines and stuff. Man, it's been so good.
It's
freaking. Do you think that? So Damon, is in the castle Heron Hall.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that dank, dripping, haunted. Gosh. The girl that he's talking to is a ghost, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Do you think? I think so too.
I
don't
think
know,
so, yeah.
But I mean, I'm still trying to see if it's like somebody else notices her. The one who's been like putting ideas in his head and stuff.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It's a good question though, because I just kind of assumed that it was, but I'll ask my wife what she thought. That's I think it's rich in storytelling and visualization of it is outstanding. They poured a lot of money into it. A lot of green screen. You can tell some of the green screen. You're become accustomed to watching that and going, I wish it wasn't so much green screen.
Sometimes it's like a little dark and stuff. You can't see what's going on. My one complaint about it, and stuff. I'm like, is something wrong with my TV? I'm like fucking around with the brightness. I'm like, nope, it's just dark.
Yes, exactly. And that's the old trick in movie making. Spielberg used it for his movies like Jaws and stuff. Don't show the shark that much because it looks fake, and shoot it dark. Because
no choice. He had no choice. But still,
no choice.
It's one of the best movies ever made. Jaws.
Absolutely.
It's like every time it's on, I'll watch it. Wherever I come in,
Absolutely.
I'll watch it. But
I've gotten to a point because TMC Turner Classic Movies has been showing some Steven Spielberg movies, and I rewatched the Fabelmans recently, and so I've been taking a look at Spielberg's career, and just see the guy is a phenomenal filmmaker, man. He just
fantastic.
has a gift for visualizing things.
Saving Private Ryan was on the other night. Watch that. That was fucking brilliant.
I've got a question for you all real quick. I didn't want to lose it because you mentioned Jaws.
Yep.
Did you see a movie called Inserts with Richard Dreyfuss?
Yes.
Where he's like a porn director.
Yeah. That's the one where the chick from Alien shows her vagina.
Yes.
Veronica Cartwright.
Yes.
Yep.
Saw it again recently. It was on TMC, and it's not a very good movie, but it definitely holds your attention because Dreyfuss is such a good actor, and because there are bush shots and nudity, but there's these long ass monologues, and it's like, okay, it's feeling very stagey, theatrical.
It felt like a play to me.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. Yes, that's exactly. But it's still worth watching. Inserts, yes, good movie.
MC-17.
I showed my girls The Princess Bride. Sometimes
good
movie. Great all-time classic. And I'd forgotten that, Fred Savage is wearing a Bears jersey.
Oh,
and he's got a fridge poster in back of him and stuff. I'm like, this is great. Peter Falk is reading to him his grandpa. It's a great movie.
Carissa Randon is from Right Here Where I Am.
Christopher Sarandon, Christopher Guest. Yeah.
Did the girls like the movie?
Yeah, they did.
Good.
A lot of it went over like the 6-year-olds had. My 8-year-old's pretty sharp though. So she enjoyed it, And
Andre the Giant, Carrie Elwes.
Andre the Giant,
the Giant, those scenes with him and
Robin Wright Penn as the princess.
Yeah, I've
Billy
always
Crystal in it too. He's just dressed up.
Yeah, Billy Crystal and Carol Kane.
Have fun though. Have fun raiding the castle. Storming the castle.
Yeah.
Good cameo appearance by Crystal, no doubt about it.
Yeah, it's excellent. Yep. Mutton, lettuce, and tomato sandwich where the mutton is nice and crispy.
Yeah.
Billy Crystal is just so funny, Billy Crystal.
Good memory. I recommended to Dan. I should have sent it to you too. The Outfit.
Great movie.
Oh yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
yep.
Quentin Tarantino highly recommended it, and so that's why I finally caught up with it. It's
I keep
just
forgetting the actor's name.
Robert Duvall, Joe Don Baker, Karen Black, Dan just mentioned a little while ago. It's directed by a guy I never really know much about, John Flynn, but it really captures that early 70s crime movie that I thought was really good. There was a lot of movies in the early 70s that were I don't know, they were just like neo noir. They got that style, and it was gritty. There you go. That's the word.
And Joe Don Baker, he always played like someone you'd think was like a good old boy, like your buddy. You're like, hey, it's just classic.
Karen Black's death, and it was pretty shocking.
Yes. Spoiler alert: Karen Black's death is
the movie's from 73 or 4.
I know.
There's one around that time she did called Trilogy of Terror.
Yes, I remember that.
3 short stories with her in a like a little tiki doll. Man, scared
the
when I was a little kid, it scared the fuck out of me.
Oh, it was an ABC movie of the week. Yeah, it was an ABC movie of the week, and the trailers were playing, coming, Trilogy of Terror, and I would see that little fucking guy. I gotta watch that.
Oh, man,
it was spooky as hell.
Yeah, it was like the special effects were kind of good for. It was 1973, I think, or 75, somewhere around there. I was like,
she was a pretty sexy lady too, Karen Black. Definitely.
That little fucking tiki doll scared the fuck out of me for years. It's like a little knife and shit and teeth.
Yeah.
Do you all know a lady named Jennifer O'Neill?
Yes.
She was a Brazilian, born in Rio de Janeiro. I watched a film with her in it, and she is so fucking hot. It's from 73. It's got Donald Sutherland as the lead, and it has Robert Duvall in it as well, called Lady Ice, where they're stealing jewelry. And this lady's been married like 14 times, but goddamn, she was beautiful. Jennifer O'Neill, you should look that up.
She's gorgeous. There's no doubt about it.
Bearsky Film has been asking us to guess a movie. I don't know which.
Yeah, perfectly proportioned the ass to a breast ratio. Yeah, I don't know who you could be talking about. Movie? What actress are you talking about? Let me scroll up to see if you made mention of it earlier. But any movie with a perfect proportion breast to ass ratio is one I want to put on my list.
I'm interested. I'm interested, Bearsky.
Is Jennifer O'Neill still hot at age 76?
Well, maybe she's not hot at 76, but in 1976, she was fucking hot.
Yeah, I'm like,
don't mess with the Zohan. I've never seen that.
That was funny.
Isn't that Ben Stiller? I never watched that.
Adam Sandler. Yeah, Ben Stiller directed it though. I think. I'm like back up on People magazine. We're doing like Richard. There's 2 covers: Richard Simmons and Shannon Doherty. I know Uncle Mike has got a show coming up for
tomorrow night
for those 2, but. Richard Simmons, 76. Shannon Doherty was only 53.
She's been battling cancer for a decade.
Cancer for quite a long time. Yeah, and
she was in Heathers as Heather.
That's what I was saying. That was like one of her first movies was Heathers.
Yeah, loved Heathers.
Great movie. Yep, and started on Little House in the Prairie.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Was a child actress, and then
that was just a terrible show. I thought
Richard Simmons' real name was Milton Teagle Simmons.
Didn't know that at all.
Yep.
Me either.
If you listen to, I know Dan Aguirre, you listen to Howard Stern. Have you listened to his reaction to the Ben Simmons death? I was interested in that.
No, they're always talking about someone. They're always trying to. They were talking about a movie. Somebody playing him in a movie recently. Like I know he talks about Richard Simmons a lot.
Pauly Shore.
Yeah, Pauly Shore. Okay. I turned Howard on. I think on Monday, and he was on a replay. He's off this week. The dude's he's like goddamn close to 70. So he barely works now. He does 2 or 3 days a week at best, and then takes a shit ton of time off.
Yeah. But like the old days of Johnny Carson's show, Johnny Carson was rarely on once a week.
On Peacock, they have the Amy Winehouse story Back to Black, which I thought was really good.
I saw that movie. The ending is pretty abrupt, though.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, what?
I went back and re-listened to the album. I'm like, man, this is a fucking great album.
It is, but
it's like perfection,
The way they showed her death, she just walks upstairs and they're like, oh, by the way, she died. I thought the ending kind of sucked, but the girl playing Amy did really well.
She was excellent. Eddie Marsan was really great, who plays her dad. They portray the musical family really well, too. They were all musicians and stuff. But, yeah, it was okay. I mean, yeah, but the album is what I really want to talk, because I went back and listened to it. I'm like, God damn it. The whole album's good, man. Every song. It's like one of those albums where you just front to back, perfect.
And she's so hot, too. God, she was gorgeous.
Do you guys miss the days when you knew an album was coming out? On Tuesday, the album is coming out. You would purchase it, and you would play it like if it was a movie. You'd listen to the first track from the A side and work your way down to the B side and get all the tracks, and it felt like an experience. I fucking miss those days so much.
For me, it was CD, but I miss opening and reading the lyrics along with it, and the liner notes. All of it felt important.
Oh man, I miss going over to a record store like Tower and
they would open at midnight whenever like a big album would come out, and everyone would be lined up to buy it. Like I said, at midnight it felt like an event.
Yeah, missed that, man.
Yep.
What were you gonna say?
I got a little turntable. I've been playing some records for the girls and stuff.
I just got a couple turntables from my father-in-law passing, and I said, we're keeping these. And he's got a lot of albums, probably
a lot of good vinyl.
Overall. Freddie Hancock and some of the great jazz guys.
Like,
good stuff.
If I'm at like a resale shop or charity shop, or whatever you call them, looking through the albums, I'm like, I'll just grab one quick, for the girls' turntable, put it on there, Monkeys or whatever, But,
well, this is disappointing to hear. Muck says avoid Maxine. It was a piece of crap. Ty West is crazy overrated. I've seen the first 2 and liked them.
I didn't watch the second one. I saw the first one.
Yeah, the second one is good, and it might even be. Well, I think it's as good as the first one. So this third one, I'm surprised that it got a bad review. So, but I'm gonna check it out anyway when it pops up some night.
We should mention too, like I think I saw Cliff talk about 2 things. I'm bouncing around because I got to go in a second.
Yeah.
But Blu-rays are going to be extinct soon, obsolete. And we were talking about people that died. Shelley Duvall passed away.
Oh, really? When?
Shelley Duvall passed away.
Okay, a week ago, yeah.
Friday, I think it was. Yeah, you know, underappreciated, underrated actress. When I was in my film school days, she was in a movie called Three Women, along with Sissy
I've got the
Spacek
Sissy Spacek
and Janet Rule, directed by Robert Altman, and it is a mesmerizing movie. It doesn't have a traditional storytelling like most Altman movies don't, but it is hypnotic. And when I saw that movie in a theater in Chicago, I was just thinking about it for really, literally weeks, and went and saw it again, and it was still strong. And her performance in that movie is fantastic. But I told Dan Aguirre this too, that Shelley Duvall probably was ruined by Stanley
Kubrick in The Shining. Yep.
Yeah. So you've heard those stories, right? How he would yell at her, degrade her.
Yeah, we talked about it on here.
I was reading
that's right.
When she died. I read a quote that they had, and she was like, again, it was right after The Shining ended, like after they wrapped it. And she's like, yeah, all I keep hearing is how great Stanley is, She's like, I've had to cry and sob and scream for 12 hours a day for a year, and I'm invisible.
Wow.
She's like, imagine if all you do is cry and shout and scream, and you have to do it 12 hours a day. She said that scene where Nicholson's following her with the bat and she's going up the stairs, they filmed it 127 times.
And that was Kubrick. His idea of achieving perfection was to do it over and over and over again.
She was nominated for one of those Raspies for being a bad actress for The Shining.
What movie was that? Was it The Shining? Really?
Yeah, and she lost to Brooke Shields in The Blue Lagoon is the only reason. But like they were saying now, conversely, people really appreciate her performance in The Shining, but at the time, even Stephen King was just saying she's so weak and just awful.
I'm surprised Stephen King. I know Stephen King was not a fan of the movie, but he criticized her too, huh?
Yeah, that's why he made Rebecca De Mornay in that bullshit remake in the late 90s, like be a strong woman who doesn't fear Jack.
Yeah.
Because Shelley Duvall was so timid. I mean, he's a fucking guy that's lost his mind and is possessed by why wouldn't she be afraid? She's a buck. She's 101 pounds.
Exactly. She's in a fucking 50,000 square foot hotel that has ghosts. Why shouldn't she be afraid?
And again, Jack could destroy her if he wanted to. Like, why? I mean, it's a miracle her character survives to begin with. Like, why wouldn't she be afraid? It's just such bullshit.
I'm surprised at the animosity Stephen King has shown to Kubrick's Shining. I love Stephen King, but I was just a little disappointed that he didn't speak a little bit more respectfully towards. He's a master of cinema. Kubrick is phenomenal. Everything he's done, not traditional, and he's pushed the boundaries of filmmaking. He's phenomenal.
He said that casting Jack Nicholson foreshadowed obviously that he was going to go crazy because he was in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, but the way they cut the film, the trailer showed that he was going to go crazy. It's not like they hid that. But Stephen King wanted them to cast Christopher Reeve, which I think could have worked. And Christopher Reeve was good when he had to be dark in other movies. I've seen subsequent after that. But at that time, he was just known for Superman. So I guess the idea was if it's a man you can't see going crazy, would have been better than the obvious pick, is what Stephen King was trying to say. Although Nicholson is great in it, though.
Yeah,
I understand that.
You couldn't see Superman as the villain. It's the same thing as like Henry Fonda in Once Upon a Time in the West. How theaters didn't want to show the movie because everyone knew Henry Fonda is like the golden boy, the good guy, and he was the bad guy. One of the greatest movies of all time, Once Upon a Time in the West. People couldn't accept him as the bad guy.
Well, unfortunately, gentlemen, I hate to be the bad guy. I have to cut this short. I don't want to. I'm in the middle of another 76-hour work week, the second of 3 straight, and I've got to go to work.
Well, you get out of here, go protect some lives, and we'll see you next week, amigo. By the way, Tooch reminded me about Hard Knocks.
Yeah, are we going to do Wednesdays, Danny?
I think we should.
Yeah, we should. Because I like winning time. Like we used to talk about winning time. That was a great show.
So here's what we'll do. It's not until August 6th, so 2 more weeks when it debuts. So we won't do an August 6th show. We'll do the 7th. And
What day are you flying out on the 7th, though? What time, I mean?
Oh, that's right. I'm flying out that day.
You're flying out for my wedding?
Yeah. I'll work on that. Maybe I'll work on it. I'll figure it out.
Do a show from Dan's house.
I wish.
I could do a show from the hotel. So, but we'll talk about it. I'll figure it all out. Get out of here, Dan Aguirre.
All right, Dan.
All right. See you all later. It's fun. It was fun to be back.
Yeah, indeed. Thanks.
Yes, I did see Furiosa too. So
what do you think?
Thoughts on that? I liked it.
Yes.
It's like a fairy tale.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's so different than the other ones. You know, it's so different from George Miller. You know, it had all the characters from Fury Road, you know, except for Max. You know, but the story of Furiosa, man, was like told like a fairy tale, like Once Upon a Time. You know, it was great. I thought it was cool.
Loved it.
Yeah.
Loved it. I'm a big George Miller fan.
Yep.
Everything that he does is, I won't say it's great, but it's definitely interesting. He did a movie, his last movie prior to this was a movie with Idris Elba and
that's the 1,000 Years of Longing or something like that.
Yeah. What a fascinating movie.
Great.
You know,
Tilda Swinton and Idris
Tilda
Elba.
Swinton.
He's a genie. It's
right.
So good, man.
Yeah.
And it only takes place in like one room. You know, for the most part.
There's a lot of flashbacks
right.
and stuff, so that expands it. But George Miller is just phenomenal. And Muck says, I loved Furiosa. I'm glad you have it because it's a big box office dud, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And I think this is
People
one that
couldn't
audience
get
has
into
just
it.
missed out on.
Yep.
One of the Hollywood evaluators of the box office says that these origin stories, when you go back and do prequels, that those are tough sells because people are saying, well, you're not bringing back the same cast that you had last time. So I'm going to put that lower on my priority list. It'll probably do gangbusters on pay-per-view and all that stuff. But it's too bad because watching it on the big screen was something that I intended to do. I'm glad that I did. Saw it in a comfortable theater with big screen effects. Awesome.
Yep.
What else is going on, Mr. Johnny Santucci? Winning any money?
Well, I had the American League tonight. It was a 5-3 winner.
Oh, excellent.
So, Anthony and I went through a hot streak about a week or two ago where we just couldn't lose, man. I was like,
oh, love it.
Woo. It's like, every night I was winning like $200, man. It was like, boom, boom.
Love
boom.
it.
Able to give my wife a nice little chunk of cash there for whatever she wanted to do. Yeah.
What'd you guys do for her birthday?
Red hot. I took her out to her favorite restaurant. She likes Biaggi's Italian food. It's a good restaurant. Good calamari.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I have to disagree with Mr. Mayhem there. I didn't miss Max. I understand, but since this is more of a prequel, Max wasn't wrong.
You can't compare the two because Furiosa is something like totally different, man. It's just like it's like a fairy tale. I thought, man,
I think that's a great
comic book fairy tale is great, man. It's really cool the way it was told, and some of the imagery was fantastic, man.
Oh my gosh, that's one of the things I love about Miller most. He is one of the most inventive visualists in movie making right now. Cliff, I highly recommend it. I think Cliff said earlier the reviews by the top reviewers weren't good.
I want to watch it again because I know I missed some stuff.
I just actually recently that first scene when Furiosa is a little girl and she spots the Mentis's people and so forth. That first scene, which runs
They're
about
hiding,
right. That scene or part of it runs 4 minutes. It's available online.
Oh,
you can see it online. And I just saw it like 2-3 days ago, and it just took me back to the movie theater experience. I said, I can't wait to watch this movie again.
Yeah, really cool. I enjoyed it. I know I was hesitant, because you told me it was flopping and stuff. Like, what if it's not good? And I liked it, man. But I'm
glad you liked it.
Big George Miller fan. I thought it was really well done.
Yeah,
it's not for everybody though.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, clearly it's not, but my wife won't see it, and I occasionally the previous movie, the one with Charlize Theron, it's been playing a lot on cable, and so I'll have it on. My wife was walking by, and it's like looking at me. Are you going to change the TV, or do I have to go upstairs and watch something else? Okay.
Yeah.
So Friday weekend sports betting tips. You guys are back to win some more money. What are you betting on? Because the Olympics are going to be dominating sports news. So besides baseball, anything?
Yep, we're gonna have a college football show. Talk about the realignment and stuff. But that'll be a little bit because college football is about a month away.
Right.
And then talk some Olympics. We've been talking baseball hard. Even like possible trade deadline trades and stuff.
Okay.
And then we did some Euro Cup and Copa America talk. Gave out some betting tips and stuff, and mostly baseball though right now. That's all there is until the NFL is when it's going to kick into high gear. And
absolutely. Is there big betting on Olympic events?
Oh yeah. Yep.
You feel confident about?
I don't know if I will, but I did bet on a UFC game right, and then watch the fight. It was great. It was Silva versus guy. I forget the other guy's name.
I haven't bet in a long time, but I had success on picking golfers who would end up in the top 10.
Yes.
You win a few bucks.
I love doing the top 10, top 20, and then you watch some. It's like the first time golf's ever been interesting to me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I put $200 in one of the betting things and got up to $1,100 and it went back down to $5.
No,
so I haven't bet since then. Yeah,
when it gets that high, you just like chop it
cash
off,
out.
back and cash out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. I was doing parlays. I got greedy.
Yep.
Oh, I got $1,000 now.
Yeah,
so,
you can take some chances and stuff. Yeah.
And that was just stupid. So
yeah, I did one time on a golf. Scotty Scheffler was one stroke back. So to win, on the last day, to win, he was plus 185. I was like, you're never gonna get Scotty Scheffler at plus 185 again. I'm throwing some money on it, and he ties it, and there was a playoff, and he won. So it's great.
Awesome.
Just that one recently, was big. I forget which one that was.
That one, I think that was
before
the Masters.
The Scottish Open, yeah. So
it was the Masters,
something like that.
I'm pretty sure it was the Masters or the
one
Open.
right after the U.S. Open, or one right after that. Yep.
Okay.
But he wasn't in the last one last week's. He wasn't in.
Right.
He's so fucking.
But
good.
the British Open is this weekend, isn't it?
Third starts Thursday. Yep.
Do you know what course they're playing?
The Royal Troon, Troon.
All right, I'm not as familiar with that one.
Yep. Scotland Royal Troon. Yep.
Yeah. I've always, as a kid, loved watching the British Open because it's typically windy and rainy. Yep. And it's like, wow,
the courses are brutal.
And they're brutal, yeah. And so while that's not the type of golf I prefer to play, it is kind of fun to watch on TV when the guy is fucking bitching at the wind and the rain and smacking him in the face. It's almost like a NFL films. The rain slashes against their good stuff. All right, Touche, I will let you go.
All right.
Things are good at work and stuff.
Good to be back. Yep. No, busy, man. I don't know why July is so busy, man. I've hardly had time to take a break at work. I've got I'm doing all the Midwest living travel stuff, Kansas, North Carolina, we do all those travel mags and stuff. And then the basic Midwest living today. We had a meeting today, about how much work is coming in that's going to fall on me pretty soon. Wow. Then I had back-to-back successful farming, back-to-back wood. Later, Hair Bear, all right. Yeah, good to see Hair Bear again too. Yeah, we got the Barroom Fantasy Football League coming up. It just
that's right. I
gotta defend my title from last year.
Yeah, congratulations. You had an interesting year last year because you started slowly and then you were meticulous about working the waiver wire, making some transaction moves, and you ended up winning the whole thing.
A couple fantasy football mags I did.
Hold on a second. Hold on. Let me put your full frame. Let's get this out of the way.
Got done with this one.
Nice.
And then got this one here too.
The ESPN one. Love the way.
Athletic. And I just did this one too, Aldo.
Oh, look at that.
It's a long, strange trip it's been.
Wow. Yeah. How about that? I'll be looking for that at the gotta do groceries. Are those out now?
Yeah, those are all out. Yep.
I'll check them out. I'll check it out. All right,
Yeah.
Tucci, continue to do a phenomenal job. We'll watch for you this Friday, weekend sports betting tips.
Yep, Friday, 6 o'clock Central.
All right, and Willis Twins will be on Friday tomorrow. I think it's Mac and Reed. The guys are still talking hockey, so we've got lots of programming.
Yeah, Hair Bear's a big Grateful Dead fan.
Look at that. You know what? I'm not surprised, knowing Hair Bear the way I do. I'm not surprised. He's a great musician. He's posted some photographs of his new studio. It's coming into shape, and he replied back to me after I gave him a compliment. He said it was many years in the making. So congratulations, Hair Bear.
Yeah.
That's awesome. What about your studio, Tooch?
Yeah, I'm working on my office here in the house, so I'm going to try and get some of my Bears stuff up behind me so I don't have to use Aaron Mikulski's script.
I love it, though. It looks great.
It was funny because Aaron had texted me recently, and he was like, my Bears man cave shows up in the Google search. I was like, I know, that's how I found it. It's like number 2 overall.
Beautiful.
And he was like, yeah. And then one time I was watching Bare Their Souls. I'm like, wait a minute, that's my basement. Tooch is in.
That is wild. So we got to have him on soon. That way he'll have the real thing behind him, and you'll have the virtual one.
Yep. I'm hoping behind me I'll have some of my stuff up behind me on the wall there. I've had so much other stuff to do. It's just crazy, man. Yeah,
let's let Joe Mandel know that Cliff is interested in joining the fantasy football league.
Yeah, we should. I was thinking, we should have like one slot for a barfly could win or whatever, promote or some kind of promotion.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind starting another league. I just actually joined Matt Miller from ESPN. He was advertising that he was running dynasty leagues. He's got like about 20, 30, 40 of them. And the entry fee he sends to charity. So I got to send my $100 in. And we did our draft, and it was the first time I've done dynasty. So I had to think long term. I've always drafted for the upcoming season, but this time I'm looking at drafting a quarterback who's young and shows promise. So and the point system is really valued toward good quarterback play. So I took C.J. Stroud with the 2nd overall pick. What do you think, Tucci? You think I did a good job taking C.J. Stroud with the 2nd overall pick?
You took C.J. Stroud. Just kidding. I think you'll do great. I'm high on CD Lamb. I thought you were
no, because it's a quarterback heavy scoring league.
Right,
it's a dynasty league.
Yeah.
So I wanted a young
quarterback league.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, then you have to. Yeah, it's great. I never did one of those either.
Yeah.
I like CD Lamb this year and Jamar Chase. I think it's going to be those two guys will be taken just like you take like Christian McCaffrey and some of the other guys.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what do you think about?
He's got so many weapons this year, so he'll be. That's a good pick. Yep.
What's the deal with CD Lamb's contract? Because I know I think this is a contract year for him. Is that going to impact his fantasy value?
For CD, yeah, I know. Whispers of holdout, but I think he'll be fine. Yep.
Okay. Well, can't wait for our draft, and Cliff will keep you posted if something happens that we either start another league for barflies or we get an opening on our website.
I never did 2 quarterback or dynasty leagues. I would always like to have. The guillotine league is so crazy. We have one of those too.
Have you ever done a auction for your draft instead of the traditional draft?
I did one year. It was okay. It's tough.
Yeah, it is.
When you do the auction thing, it's tough. Then someone will like throw out a kicker, and then you got to bid on the fucking kicker and stuff. It's like, it's a little strategy I wasn't really ready for. But
I did it one year where it was a $200. You had $200 to spend on your players, but also that was the buy-in fee. So we all put in $200, and then if you made. We had like 18 roster spots, and during the course of the season, if you made waiver wire acquisitions, you had to pay another $1. And so by the end of the season, the pot was pretty nice.
You have to keep putting money in if you ran out of 200 or no?
We ran on the honor system. You put the $200 for the franchise fee at the beginning of the season, and then all of your transaction fees that was just collected by the commissioner, and then as part of the winning pot is when it would be distributed. And there were a lot of, the overall winner obviously won the biggest size of the pot, but division winners won.
That would have been cool.
Yeah. It was a blast. One year I won about $1,800. So I was pretty happy. Yeah.
Nice.
Very nice. I like winning $1,800.
Yeah. Nice little paycheck there.
Everybody says nothing worse than a CD Lamb. Yes, indeed.
Yep.
All right.
CD Lamb, he's such a good player, man.
He really is.
Tyreek Hill, those three guys, boom.
You think that CD Lamb, we could talk here all night. We think that CD Lamb would be have even better numbers if he had a different quarterback other than Dak Prescott. Like, let's say Brock Purdy or Russell Wilson. You think his numbers would be considered?
Herbert or
Justin
Allen.
Herbert. Oh my gosh. Can you imagine?
Pat Mahomes.
Yeah.
Shit. Mahomes and CD Lamb would be like unfair. It's like he's got Hollywood Brown this year to throw to. At least they're getting him some guys, but his top guy had like some kind of like drunk driving thing, right? Or accident, drunk driving accident.
Well, Jordan Addison recently with the Vikings.
The DUI.
Yeah, there's been a few things this offseason.
Man, let's hope. Well, too bad the Bears play the Vikings at the end of the season because he'll be done with his suspension. By the time we play the Vikings.
Yeah, unfortunately, but hopefully he'll have a few beers after another game.
I just can't believe like 6 of our last 8 games are division games. It's just it's like cruel.
That is really
I don't
bizarre.
know if we're going to be ready for those. All of a sudden, we got playing all these other teams, and all of a sudden, bam, we got to play 6 division games.
It might work out in our favor.
49ers. I hope so.
Hopefully, by that time, after the bye, this team should be working. I don't want to say all cylinders because you still got a rookie quarterback, but should be pretty effective, I think. We'll see.
They may fiddle around those first 6 weeks, and then after the bye, come out and start winning. But man, that week 11 through 18 is going to be tough,
Yeah, very tough.
Very
tough. You gotta love the fact that you're playing in London against a Jacksonville team.
Yeah.
That's really a home game for them, despite the fact we are designated as the home team.
Yeah.
But then after that, you come back after the bye against the Commanders and Cardinals. That's 2 wins, man, even if they are on the road.
3 very winnable games, 8, 9, and 10.
Yep, absolutely.
I don't expect the Patriots to be very good or the Commanders.
Exactly, they're not ready.
Cardinals might be a little better than we think, though.
Mm-hmm. Would you be shocked if Jaden Daniels has a better start to the season than Caleb Williams?
I would be a little shocked, but I don't think it's impossible. Because he put up some big numbers at LSU, but
sure,
we talked about this on Weekend Sports Betting Tips, like the Caleb Williams to be the leading rookie passing leader is plus 100, so even money. And then to me, I'm kind of like, damn, you bet $1,000 beginning of the season, was wait to get your $1,000 back, and the house is $1,000. But then you think, well, shit, man, Jaden Daniels might, you never know, Caleb could get injured, God forbid, and Jaden Daniels starts throwing it because they're playing from behind. He starts throwing up massive numbers. So, it's something I'd have to think about. I talked to Sean about it, but he's like, I wouldn't make that bet. But I don't see it. I don't say Caleb Williams should win offensive rookie passing leader.
Yeah.
The passing leader for rookies. He should win.
I hope so, man. With those weapons that he got, hopefully Shane Waldron knows what the hell he's doing. To me, it almost feels like a no-brainer. It feels like one of those things that by week 15, 16, you're saying, I'm glad I put that bet down, or I wish I would have put that bet down, because it's pretty obvious Caleb was going to have a big year with all the weapons he has.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, Jaden Daniels got some weapons too, but I'll take the Bears' weapons instead, though.
Yeah. What's interesting? Did you see Hard Knocks last week?
I didn't. That's the Giants, right?
Yeah, it's the Giants. I'm telling you, Tooch, this is one of the better years. Yes. If you love all of that behind-the-scenes stuff of the coaches and general manager and how they're preparing for the draft and free agency, it's great. Last week, they showed at the Combine Brian Dable and the general manager interviewing Caleb Williams.
I saw a little bit of that. Yep.
Yeah, it was fascinating. And the style of questioning, and then you hear the general manager, plotting with his players about what to do with Saquon Barkley. That is just juicy gossip stuff that Bears fans, and NFL fans love. And I'm just hoping that Hard Knocks in Chicago at Hallis Hall, that they approach it the same way. I'd like to see a little less of the human interest in seeing, the family, and not to downplay that. That's important, but I'm much more interested in watching Ryan Poles work the phones and trying to sign Yannick Ngakoue and blah, blah, blah. That's the kind of stuff that really turns me on.
Can't wait.
Can't wait either.
2 or 3 weeks, right? 3 weeks from today.
Yep, 2 weeks from today. Yep. So we'll adjust our schedule. We'll let everybody know. Best ways.
When's Dan's wedding?
Dan is on Friday, August 9th.
9th, okay.
Yeah.
So you'll be in West Virginia.
Actually, they're getting married in Cincinnati.
Oh, it's in Cincinnati, right?
Because Marilyn Manson
show. Yes,
is playing there. So that's where they had their first date.
I've never been to Cincinnati.
Really? Oh. Nice town.
Yeah, never been. I'd like to try. I'd like to check it out though. What's his name lives there? Aaron Barefly's Tailgate.
Aaron Current?
Aaron Current, yeah. He's
no, he lives in Kentucky.
Yeah, across the river from
Cincinnati. That's right. I should call him and let him know, because I'm going to have a little bit of free time.
Yeah. He lives just in Kentucky side of Cincinnati.
Yeah, I'm taking, I'm going to take pictures and video of Dan's wedding. So if anyone has any clever ideas of, what I should have them do or say or stuff that I should capture, let me know, because I'd like to do a nice little video for them coming back. If you got funny questions for me to ask them.
Right. There's going to be a new Barfly Tailgate video, I hear.
That's right. You're in the credits, the opening and closing credits. Absolutely. Gonna have that ready by your first show, which I think is Hall of Fame week.
Coming up. Yep.
Yeah.
So we got Fantasy Football Goon returning soon.
Can't wait. We got a full slate of stuff.
Congratulations to my radio son, who's going to be a dad again.
Yeah, Joe.
Yeah. Did you know? Yeah.
No.
Oh, yeah. His wife is expecting again. Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, he and I
don't know if I was supposed to break that news, but sorry, Joe. I'm sorry, son. I'm so excited though.
He and I took the wives to watch a Notre Dame hockey game.
Yeah.
Then I wonder if that was the night of conception.
Very well been.
If they have a boy, name him Aldo. That is great news. I won't tell anybody that Joe Mandel and his wife are expecting.
Just between you and me. Yeah, I don't know if I was supposed to break the news yet. Yeah, I'm so proud of that. Yep.
According to the Geiger counter here, there's only 270 people watching. That's hilarious. That is so good. All right, Teach, I will see you next week. Will's Twin Tires on Friday, Mac and Reed tomorrow. Lots more football stuff. And, of course, Tooch is going to give you some winners on Friday, weekend sports betting tips. So lots of stuff. Do what this young lady is asking you to do.
Okay, guys and girls, if you like what you see, give us a like, press the bell, and subscribe. Thank you, sweetie pies.
I love playing around with those AI voices.
Yeah.
I got one talking dirty to Dan that I haven't downloaded yet, but I got one saying, "Oh, Dan, please, don't hurt me with it, Dan."
I got to hear the Quentin Tarantino AI too sometime.
Yeah, I'll download that. Technically,
I know
it's
how
not
my coffee is, Jules.
You know what? He could have been a really good actor too. The Dawn movie. What's the title of that?
From Dusk Till Dawn.
Dusk Till Dawn. He was so good in that movie.
He was good in that. Yeah.
Psycho. He looked cool back then.
Yeah.
And now he's gonna make one last movie, and that's it. Yeah. Very weird career.
Yep.
Anyway, we'll see you next week, brother.
All right, Aldo. Good night.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Okay, guys and girls, if you like what you see, give us a like, press the bell, and subscribe. Thank you, sweetie pies.